Microsoft for life. No, Nintendo for life. Screw you, Microsoft.
Yeah, Nintendo for life, even if you hate them. And they're stupid directs, but
Yeah.
it's the family member that you can't get rid of. Wake up, everybody. Today is Thursday, February 18th, and we are Never Free to Play, a podcast where we talk about all the video games we wish we were playing. I am one of your hosts, Karch Palaski, joined by my co-hosts, Jason Wright and Sean Mybers. If you decide you like us and want to hear more of the unofficial official podcast of the U.S. Coast Guard, you can find us at neverfreetoplay.com, patreon.com/neverfreetoplay, or on all the other social media where we are Never Free to Play. If you have questions, comments, thoughts, ideas, feedback, please send it to us at neverfreetoplay@gmail.com. Boys, how you doing? It was Valentine's Day. Did you deliver?
I always cash in on the fact that it's right around my birthday for Valentine's Day, so it does a good job of covering up for my deficiencies.
Clever.
Man, if only I had
I was
thought
so
that
clever
far
to be
ahead.
born at the right time.
Jason, you slacker.
No, I delivered, dude. I mean, as best you can do in COVID. And I think I talked about it a little last week, but we did the whole, we did like a charcuterie board that we made from a bunch of Aldi. You can get so much charcuterie at Aldi fairly inexpensively, but it's
good deli.
just as delicious, yeah.
Not like a real deli, but the deli section.
Yeah. And then we also got each other a Riddell wine decanter because we used to have a cheap decanter and it got broken in one of our moves. So we literally haven't had one for like 5 years. And we were like, oh, I kind of want one. Crazy thing. I always just thought, I knew what a decanter is supposed to do. It's supposed to open up the wine, whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. But I think back when we had one in college, I was so new to wine that I didn't really have a very developed palate. But this thing really works. It's insane because like we just think it's pretty and we wanted to look at it. So I kind of jokingly put in some boxed wine into that decanter for dinner. And we sat it there on the table for 30 minutes or whatever while we were prepping and getting everything. I'll be darned. That made boxed wine taste good. It was crazy.
Amazing. Science.
It was wild.
Making wine taste good since wine was invented.
Amazing.
Yeah, mine turned out pretty good. I cooked.
Nice.
Everything. And it was all new to me. I made green beans, steak, and Alfredo pasta. Everything from scratch, including the pasta. And it turned out really well.
Yeah, you texted me a picture of that pasta at like 10 o'clock in the morning. I was so impressed.
Yeah. I've done it before. It's not my first time. It was my first time, at least that I can remember, rolling out gluten-free pasta. And it was a little bit tricky, but it wasn't too bad. And actually a little bit easier because you don't have to knead it as much because you don't have to activate the gluten.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about overdeveloping the gluten either.
Exactly. Which is a huge, especially with, I've tried to do biscuits before, and I did do that. I over kneaded it, and it basically just became, they're pucks.
Yeah,
and it was
biscuits are like actually one of those, like biscuits and pie crust, things that you want to be crumbly are actually, I have found are a lot easier to do GF than regular wheat.
Wow,
So
I'm a little disappointed you didn't film it and make a video.
I did, but they were for her to like put on her blog. They're not like fun.
You're cheating on us with your wife's blog?
She's going places. She has 320-something followers on Instagram.
Yeah. She's way cooler than us.
She's so much cooler than us. We're going to ride her coattails, though. I'm going to wait till she gets to 1,000, and then I'm going to start pestering her to push us onto her stuff constantly.
Well, you mentioned she may manage our Instagram if I give her the content and say, hey, post this in the best way possible.
Yeah, I think she'll totally do that.
We need all, all the spouses of all her listeners, she needs to direct towards us.
Yes.
Ooh, that's genius. Housekeeping, like, sub, follow. If you're listening on YouTube, click that subscribe button. If you're listening on a podcast service, click that subscribe button. Follow Karch on Twitter at neverfreetoplay. Say it every week. He's a clever guy. Doesn't get nearly enough credit. I laugh at his stuff daily. And that's all. I got a quick shout out to my dog.
Oh,
my literal dog, not like my friend. Toby turned 5 today.
What a big boy.
Yeah,
Happy
he's such a big boy.
Toby.
Yeah, it was so funny. He's like a year and 3 months older than Luke. So it really is cute watching them grow up together.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a good boy. Anyway,
He's a very good.
all I have, no corrections. You know what, Josh? Screw you. No corrections.
Yeah, he
Rule
thought
of right.
he was talking a big game, and he thought he had some, but then he doesn't even write in a question. Like, what is that?
Yeah, no, we don't read corrections from people who don't write in questions.
That's
Cool.
That's amateur fan hour right there.
Let's do
Step up
some
the game.
news.
Maybe you can co-host.
All right, let's get into the news. First up, we had a Nintendo Direct, but it's pretty long, and we've got a lot to say about it, so we're going to go ahead and shift that to our topic of the show. Go ahead and jump into that via the timestamp that won't be there for you. But, somewhat related, the Legend of Zelda series turns 35 this week. I believe it's actually this Sunday, so 3 days from now, the good old Legend of Zelda will be 35. And ahead of this, Nintendo has issued registration applications for trademarks for Phantom Hourglass, which was a DS title, Skyward Sword, and, I'm going to say it the right way for a change, Ocarina of Time. So, boys, how do you feel? What do you think about this news in the wake of the 35th anniversary?
It's kind of a weird, Skyward Sword and Ocarina of Time makes sense there if we continue to hold out for that 3D collection. But Phantom Hourglass is kind of, the odd man out on that one.
Yeah, I know Jason definitely didn't play it. Did you ever play it though?
That was was it that or Spirit Tracks was the first of the DS ones?
It was the first.
Okay, I played Phantom Hourglass. I did not play Spirit Tracks.
It is a direct sequel to
Wind Waker.
Wind Waker. I never knew
Right.
that until I
Yeah.
recently watched like a critical, a review video of it. And it didn't
It's
look half bad. It still
No, it
looked
was
really
fun.
bad, but
It was, as Nintendo's want to do, it used to you would swipe your sword by swiping on the touch screen. But it had the upside of it largely allowed you to operate around that and not have to use it. So
Cool.
Nintendo's love of odd control mechanisms or whatever fad they have going on didn't detriment from it being a very top notch 2D Zelda.
interesting. Maybe I'll check it out someday, or maybe sooner. Maybe we'll give it the Link's Awakening treatment. Jason, what do you think about all this?
I never played Skyward Sword. I never played Phantom Hourglass. I have more thoughts
Never
on
beat
Skyward.
the Water Temple.
I never beat the Water Temple. You are correct. I did watch Sean do it a couple times, and then I took it over from there.
What is this, episode 47? No, let's move on.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It seems kind of if the idea here is that they're going to do a collection akin to what they did for Mario's 35th anniversary, I don't know if this is the strongest lineup. It's an interesting games that they picked to go into this. Ocarina of Time, I guess, was always going to be there. Like at this point, there's no way of getting out of it. We're always going to get a port of Ocarina of Time. I'm very disappointed that they didn't do any sort of re-release of Wind Waker HD
Yet. And so that brings me to my second question. Are they going to do anything a la the Mario anniversary that they did, where they had the collection and they had a bunch of other stuff? And because they did basically what we got were 2 games. We've got the collection, which had the 3 titles in it, and then we had the remaster / port with the Bowser's Fury edition for Super Mario 3D World.
I'll be honest, and I don't want to get too far ahead of what we're going to talk about with the Direct later, but some of the news from the Direct makes me a little more skeptical that we may not be seeing like a 3D collection. I think as we were all hoping, because why would they be releasing the one that we'll talk about later that they are re-releasing?
Well, I was thinking the exact same way until I remembered that the Mario had a collection and it had a single port. So this could be that. This could be the single port, and it was the most recent 3D
true.
Mario. And this would have been the most recent 3D Zelda, aside from, of course, the ones that came out natively on the Switch.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we could still get the Ocarina of Time to Twilight Princess.
Twilight
time
that's all I
period in
want.
there.
I just want Twilight Princess because it's been so long, and I want to play the HD version, but it's still like
want-
$60 on the Wii U, and I
Yeah.
don't want to pay that.
I want Wind Waker and I want Twilight Princess. I want to
That would
replay
be the
those two.
dream. And then sure, throw Ocarina in too.
Might as well.
Whatever.
Why
Might
not?
as well. Exactly. The 3DS
I'll have to
version.
drive up to Alabama to beat the Water Temple for Jason. But
Probably.
Come on, he's a
Although
big
if
boy. He's not
I-
going to even get to the Water Temple.
Yeah.
that's we'll be lucky if he gets through Jabba Jabu.
Right.
I'd love to defend myself, but I can't.
All right. Moving on. Microsoft begins testing xCloud streaming on PC and iOS browsers, says The Verge. This is mostly... Rumor seems too weak, but it's certainly not confirmed, aside from the fact that we do know that their intention is to bring xCloud streaming to PC and pretty much any browser. Right now, it's currently on Android phones and presumably Android tablets. Is that correct?
I believe so, yeah.
Yes.
Via the App Store. I've played it. It works relatively well, especially on slower games if, you're working nothing super twitchy. But unfortunately, my friends here, Sean and Jason, with their Apple products, cannot enjoy it quite yet. But this is exciting because we've talked about the value of Game Pass, and we actually plan to talk about the value of Game Pass more in the future. But this is going to make it even more valuable to be able to play literally at that. Like once they do this, that's everything. There won't be anything else. There won't be anything you can't play Game Pass games on.
Well,
You
and then like
excited?
Jason said too. I mean, once you get that, if you get xCloud and it does work well, I mean, you begin to get into the realm of outside of modding or wanting the
Yeah.
very best beyond whatever Microsoft's willing to give for graphics. Yeah, it makes it so much like you don't have to. You just need a device that can stream. You don't actually need to build a gaming rig or whatnot anymore.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's the play here is to make these games as accessible to people as possible. And I think their model is the best approach to this because they give you every option. If you want to do it on a console, boom, you've got it on a console. You want to do it natively on a PC, there's an app for that. You want to do it, you have a laptop or a tablet that's not as powerful and you want to do it on there or you're gaming on the go, then boom, you've got it there. And I've said it many times, and I just think that's such a smart approach. I am a little bit confused as to why no one's talking about a native streaming app for the PC. If you look at other streaming platforms like Amazon's, they have a browser-based version of it, but then they also have an app that gets better performance. I would imagine that's the route they'll eventually go for PC, but
Yeah.
I don't know why
I
they're not talking about that.
I certainly imagine they will. I mean, there's already. I think my laptop has a couple different Xbox apps on it for different purposes. So it's not like Microsoft shies away from making apps.
I think it would probably be just because phones are a no-brainer. Make it work on phones.
It's the only way to do it.
Right. And then, of course, you devote a lot of resources. The next widest, most sensible net would be all browsers, or, the two main browsers, Chrome, probably Edge as well, and then Safari. And then finally, what you have is a singular silo of the PC app. So it's probably just sitting there at third. Like you said, it is coming. I have to imagine it's coming. It would be weird if it didn't, but it's just not as important. Doesn't bring in as much potential revenue as the other two.
Makes sense.
Are you excited though, Jason? I know you're probably the most bullish on streaming, and you can't use it yet.
That's true. Yeah, no, I am excited about it. I think I have the connection to pull it off here at my house.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm envisioning this future in which if I want to sit at my desktop on the nice monitor and play a game, I can do that. But if I want to continue that same game in bed, I just pull out my phone or my tablet or take my laptop into bed, hook up the controller, keep going. And I'm envisioning that the save files would be transferable and you get linked progress.
Definitely.
So
yeah.
For my
I wonder
use case,
too, because a big appeal of the Switch is that ability to just pick it up and go, and then dock it and keep going. If it'll have you can shift where it's streaming to, so it'll keep the game running, so you don't have to go back through the boot, the title screen and booting up the game.
That was probably the biggest downside is that you kind of still had to commit to playing. There was no quick suspend feature. And I don't know if that was just the nature of where it was at the time or specifically using it on a phone, but And it's not to say that when I resumed, it wouldn't necessarily be right there. I wouldn't have to necessarily reboot the whole game, but like it wasn't quick. And so when you do sit down to do this streaming, and maybe they'll improve it, or they already have, I don't know, it might not be as fluid as we're used to on console or even PC for that matter.
I think
the
Stadia
Xbox-
was doing something. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think Stadia was doing something like that with save states, and I could see Microsoft implementing something like that in the future.
Right. That's hopefully, yeah, because it's we've become so accustomed to it that I think it's kind of a must-have, at least after the first phase is over. Streaming on the actual Xbox consoles, have they talked about that before? I don't remember.
Yeah,
Phil Spencer talked about it. Basically said, yeah, they're gonna, because where it's been talked about is the ability to stream Xbox Series game and having an Xbox One app. And they said it's on the to-do list, but it's lower on the to-do list.
I wonder if that goes with like the PC app, because I imagine that those would probably be very similar, but maybe not. It's hard to say.
I would imagine so, because they did combine the platforms sometime. I think it was last year, or maybe it was the year before.
Right.
No, it was last year. But yeah, to your point, Karch, I think this is where they talk about, infinite forward and backwards compatibility. This is how they achieve that. The Xbox One's not going to be able to run the series games forever, and certainly not when they iterate consoles. But if you think about it from a streaming perspective, it's
it becomes
possible.
a streaming box.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I have a dream of a world in which retro gaming, somewhat, like last gen gaming, and then obviously current gen gaming. It's like you said, it's just infinite backwards compatibility. That's a stupid sounding buzzword, but it also paints a clear picture. So maybe it's not that stupid. But like, just we've talked about it before. How do you solve that problem? This is how you solve that problem. You figure a way to get it on here. You make it easy enough to roll this stuff forward. You just have like a perpetual emulator, and then done. Never again. I either pay the subscription or I pay the one-time price, and now I finally can play Super Mario Brothers 1, 2, 3, whatever. I never have to worry about losing it on my device again. Man, that would be awesome. Come on, Nintendo. Come on, Nintendo. All
I love how all conversations lead back to Nintendo.
That's because, like I said earlier, they're the family that we can't get rid of. All right, moving on. This is some pre-news, because it hasn't happened yet, but BlizzCon 2021 kicks off on the 19th, which is tomorrow, Friday, and then we'll continue on the 20th. Lots of news about WoW, lots of news about Diablo, we hope anyway, so we'll probably be talking about that next week, at least a little bit, especially if it's good news. Heard some rumors that maybe there's going to be a demo for D4, but we'll see. We'll see. Any predictions?
I'm not even going to step into this one. I haven't played a Blizzard game since probably StarCraft.
Fair enough. Jason, any hopes? Let's instead of predictions, what are you hoping?
What am I hoping? I'm hoping we hear more about that D2 HD remaster
from totally forgot about that.
The studio they just purchased.
Visions.
Yes. Not purchased, but brought into their team. So I'm hoping we hear a little bit more about that. I'm hoping we get a little bit of a news blast on D4. I'm wondering, did Overwatch 2 ever come out?
No.
So we'll probably hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's true.
Outside
Any new IP?
of that,
Anybody want to take a bet on new IP? We need stakes. We gotta start putting just like generic stakes for the next time we do a bet, because it's just so hard to come up with stuff. Because I'm like, hey, who wants to take a bet? But
no. I'm gonna go with no.
Okay, Jason.
new IP? Do I think there's going to be new IP? Nah. What would they have done last year during COVID? I mean, come on, they're not doing anything.
All right, fair enough. I was about to take the the devil's advocate position, but even that kind of tells me that you're probably right. I mean, they never even had a single extra word about that Immortals phone game that made everybody so mad.
I know.
Or Diablo
Blizzard's
Immortals.
You guys have phones?
Yeah, Blizzard's been in such a weird spot because they had that, I think was maybe 2018, and then 2019 they had all of that backlash over banning that player for saying something about
the Hearthstone stuff before the Hong Kong while Hong Kong stuff was just getting kicked off, all the protests over there.
So we had the Free Hong Kong year, and then 2020 they just canceled BlizzCon. And so like now you've got this.
Difficult
just
esports moment.
I really feel like they're just going to continue to do what they do, which is disappoint.
Oh, so true. You hate to hear it, but it's so true. They are so disappointing. All right. Next up, this is real quick. Probably should have been in a Minish Cap, but the creator of Celeste, Matty Thompson of Matt Makes Games, created Celeste 2 on the Pico 8, which was where the Celeste originally happened. It was like a kind of like a demo. Pico 8 is this fun little retro-looking game-making / playing. You can play it online. You can download a version of it.
You can unlock it on a copy of the game
within
too,
Celeste, exactly. You could play it in that, so it was a game in a game. But I played just a teeny bit of it, and it looked fun enough. You get a grappling hook instead of like a double jump, and I was working, so I couldn't play anymore, and I wanted to plug a controller in, so I'll check it out later. But that's about it.
That's pretty cool. Wasn't that a Game Jam game too?
It
like
could have been
the original Pico.
Yeah, I think the original, the original Pico 8, I think was a Game Jam game.
That's so cool. So for anyone who doesn't know, that's where they get all these developers together, and it's called a Game Jam, and I think you have like a night to make a game, and then they'll kind of judge who made the best thing with this 8-hour period.
Yeah. And I don't think the final product of Pico 8 was just out of that Game Jam, but I think that's where the beginning of Celeste was.
That's really cool, Karch. I didn't know about this until I was reading the doc, so I would definitely want to check this out.
Yeah. Thank you, Jared Petty, for bringing it to my attention. And last news item is NVIDIA, right?
Yeah, not NVIDIA.
NVIDIA is nerfing its new RTX 3060 for Ethereum cryptocurrency mining. So lots of people are out there gobbling them up, all them graphics cards for their cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum mining. And NVIDIA is going to go ahead and nerf it via software. And then they're also going to produce cards that are more in line and more efficient at doing that. Now, Jason, you're our resident hardware expert. Why just the 3060? Why not the 70 and the 82?
That's a really good question.
I can actually answer this.
Oh,
go ahead.
You move out of the way, dumb Jason. Come on, smart man Sean.
The reason being is so your higher grade graphics cards is because of their part of it is because they have superior video output. The video part is the part that the cryptocurrency miners care the least about, and so what they tend to go after is they'll go after the cheapest video cards that they can to get as many as they can because quantity matters more to them. And so the RTX 3060 being the cheapest of the 30 series was expected to be particularly hard hit by people wanting to get it for cryptocurrency mining.
Gotcha.
Well, there you go, Sean. And I was just going to say also that it hasn't come out yet. It doesn't come out until March.
Oh,
and so
I had no idea.
Part of it could just be the messaging of getting out ahead and saying, hey guys, this is not going to do what you think it's going to do. So that hopefully that gives a little breathing room for the release.
And I think those cryptocurrency specific ones, NVIDIA has said that's not going to come out until first quarter of 21.
Yeah, so when you
2022, like another year.
Yeah, another year.
So when you brought this to our attention earlier, I thought, like, okay, well, this is nice and all, but it'll be a wasted effort because I had assumed it was already out. If it not being out and them getting ahead of it, this might actually work much better than I had previously assumed. Because, like, even if it's inefficient, they're still going to buy them until it's not. Then they'll buy the new ones, and that'll probably still happen in some respects. But especially if they can hack around this little,
the software,
limiter.
Yeah,
right, exactly. Yeah, but that's cool. Because
I
then
have one
people
thought
like
on this,
Jason
and
can get it.
I think it's funny that this is what it requires. I don't understand why instead of this you couldn't just think of a more intelligent way to distribute them and sell them. Like this seems like
right. They've created
it's
you
an
forced it
engineering
on the
solution
software
to a supply
designers
chain
instead of your
problem.
marketing people.
So
It's bizarre because Sony, in my opinion, even though they're facing limited stock issues just like NVIDIA, but in my opinion, they're handling it a lot better with the queue system and the account requirement and etc.
It's a historically different market, though, with so many, and we've talked about this before, but you have the third-party sellers being such a huge component, whereas there is such thing, but there is no such thing as retailers selling consoles, we'll just say consoles, for anything above MSRP.
Yeah, that's
at least not in the last 25 years.
You do get the scumbaggy GameStop bundles where you can buy a PlayStation 5 totally, but you're going to buy $900 worth of controllers and crappy games to go with it.
I did hit one of those earlier, but we'll talk about that in a sec. But yeah, that does it for the news. Let's go ahead and get into Sean's Minish Caps, and I'm going to zip my lid.
All right, so for Minish Caps this week, some more Xbox news. The Xbox Series consoles are going to come with, or they're adding a feature called FPS Boost. Right now, this is only working for 5 games, and I mean, none of them are a particularly big game. It's like Sniper 4 Elite, I think UFC 4, I think Far Cry, the most recent Far Cry that's probably the biggest name. But what this is doing is it's actually doubling the FPS on these games. So Microsoft has gone and worked with those developers to increase the frame rates for when playing them on the Series X or S. And as stated, they're planning on extending that to more games. So Microsoft kind of continuing their trend of supporting and cultivating that backwards compatibility is one of their big selling points. Moving on from that, 6 Days in Fallujah is coming out, or has already come out. I think it's still not quite out yet. So this is a game about the Iraq War. That Konami was going to release. I think got announced back in 2009, and then Konami dropped the project because of pushback on releasing a game that was covering at the time, and still active war. The developer has found another release and is now 12 years later releasing this game. From what I hear, it's getting pretty mad reviews. So probably not was ever going to be a big deal besides the political news that it created, and it sounds like it's really nothing. Staying in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia has invested $3.3 billion to obtain stakes in EA, Activision, Blizzard, and Take-Two. This is in addition to, I think it was last year or the year before, that they bought a 33% stake in SNK. So Saudi Arabia continuing to invest in the entertainment industry, which is probably not a great thing because I'm not fond of probably that country trying to use entertainment to adjust its image. Talking about things that have not always had the best image is we have Mortal Kombat has a new movie coming out this year that totally caught me by surprise until the trailer dropped today. Looks like they're embracing the R rating. Within the first 30 seconds of the trailer, Sub-Zero freezes and rips the arms off of Jax. So
nice.
If you ever wondered how Jax got his robo arms, Sub-Zero's to thank. Going back to BlizzCon, ahead of it starting there tomorrow, info has already leaked, including that WoW's Classic will move up to include the Burning Crusade expansion. So I'm sure we'll be talking more about that material in general, and also the leaks that went along with it. And finally, Baldur's Gate 3 has got a new update coming that'll be bringing the Druid to the game and embracing the Badger by allowing you to wild shape into a Badger form.
Badger.
Those were so minished. I loved it. Good job.
Lesser news. It's all Sean is allowed to be responsible for. Karch, do you want to cover where I stand on my relapse?
Why don't you tell us, since you relapsed?
So I definitely 100% relapsed hard on President's Day. So I played a little bit on the Sunday, and then had to stop because D&D planning had to be finalized. And then I basically woke up Monday and played Skyrim all day. And then a little bit Tuesday morning before work.
How did it feel?
Later.
How did it feel?
How did it feel? It felt good. Well, I mean, I'll talk about it and what I've been playing, but it felt great.
Okay.
And then I haven't played since Tuesday, so I am at 2 days now.
I'd like to revisit what your goal was on your chart for your gaming calendar for 2021.
I think I have that piece of paper laying around.
I think you said you were going to try to make it to March.
Yeah, no, I did. I definitely said March, likely Skyrim relapse. So I missed that.
I don't even remember that.
I missed that by about 2 weeks.
Whew. Oh, man.
We'll try again next year.
Right.
We're not going to start over
We'll see
now.
if I can make it to September before the next one. Oh, it's not going to happen.
No way.
No.
I may have another one this weekend.
Before we get into what we have been playing, I have a new segment. And it's a sad segment, and it's called, does Karj have a PS5? And the answer is no. No, he doesn't.
I have to take this time in this segment to remind everybody that he could have had one, and he closed the tab.
Closed it. And
Wah, wah.
I'm gonna say though,
I was so disappointed listening to you. I just want you to know that.
it wasn't a sure thing. I never actually checked to see if it was in stock, but I did close that tab. It was.
It was definitely.
I
don't know.
It would have had to have been, right, for it to be so poetically depressing.
I think so. I
Yeah,
think
but
for
Jason,
story purposes, it was.
As every piece of fantasy with multiple gods says, the gods are cruel, and therefore, yes, you would have gotten one.
True. Yeah, I'm following a couple Twitter accounts. Jason's in the Discords, and he sent me a message. He's gonna buy one too. For me, if such a situation arises where I get into the queue and they're not there, and he does.
Right, because the way that it works is they open up the queue 30 minutes before they say, okay, everyone who's in the lobby now is in the queue.
Yeah.
And what they do is it doesn't matter when you get into the lobby, they randomize the order.
Yeah.
And so if Karch and I both are in there, then one of us potentially gets randomized closer, then, that doubles our chances.
The odds are in your favor.
Now, I did get in on 3 different browsers on 3 different devices, and my wait times did correlate to the times that I joined the lobby. So I will just say that maybe it's not as random as we think. Or that's a lie or something. I don't know.
Tracking your IP.
But I'm going for that digital. I might break and get the physical, but I refuse to pay more than $500 plus tax.
As you should. Don't feed the scalpers.
No, I meant to say, like, there was a bundle. There was a bundle on the digital version on some rando site, but it came with the camera, an extra controller, a year's worth of PS Plus, and then something else that I just didn't want. And none of those things are bad, but like it made the total like almost $650. I'm like, I'm just not doing that. I'm not doing that.
I would do it if they bundled it with the new Ratchet and Clank.
Well, that's different because
and the controller. Even I would do it.
Yeah, that's a good deal bundle. Like,
if it was
a game
just
I want
the controller,
and a second
yeah,
controller
maybe.
that I'm going to eventually need.
A controller in a game you wanted to play.
Well, right, but that's not a hindrance unless it's like 10 games you want to play.
Yeah, it's not a scummy bundle.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's talk about what we wish we were playing. Oh wait, no, we don't get to do that because I was told I'm not allowed. So maybe next week, you guys can just
you
take the boot off my neck and let me be who I am. We'll talk about Nico, or Here Comes Nico by Frog Vibes.
QQ.
But we're going to talk about that next week. No.
QQ.
I'm going to put this on you guys. I'm putting it on.
QQ.
All right.
Where's
now,
Robert?
let's talk
I need
about
him to
what
shout
we've been
QQ
playing.
at you.
Some video games. I'm going to start this week. I never start. I'm going to start.
Hey, Karch, why don't you tell us what you've been playing?
God of War. I've been playing probably the most of anything I played. I played a lot of God of War. Just to show Jason up. He was like, I'm playing a God of War. I'm like, no, this is how you play God of War. But it's all been post. You did. You suck. It's been post game. I picked up an old file. It's a New Game Plus, so I've played through this twice. This is that New Game Plus file where I've got all my really good gear and I just kind of destroy everything. I'm on the normal, quote unquote, difficulty. I think it's called like give me a balanced experience or something like that. I love being in Midgard. It is such a fun world to be in. Unfortunately, I have exhausted most of Mimir's conversations, so that's a character who gives you all the history of all the gods and a lot of the myths that we're somewhat familiar with in real life, but they put their own spin on it, or they give you a little extra detail that you might not have been familiar with, specifically as it relates to Odin, Thor, and their constant battle with the giants. And by battle, I mean mostly genocide. Odin and Thor don't like giants at all. So except for a few lore items that I've discovered in my post-game, where he then has a new conversation on the boat, it's kind of just this quiet water paddle as I go about collecting the stupid collectibles. So, God of War is a 10 out of 10 perfect game in my opinion. God of War's post-game, not so much. This game was not designed around this. It's there and it's doable, but it is not a very fun platinum. I will say that much. The map, horrible. It's a horrible map. Like, it doesn't tell you anything except whether or not you're in one dimension or a different dimension. That's about as good as it gets. So if you're inside like a mine, there's no telling where you are in that mine. Good luck. Follow a video, memorize it, but the map's not going to help you out. It's not going to tell you where you've been, where collectibles might have been. And there's 3 different kinds of collectibles. Why are there 3? There's the ravens, there's the artifacts, there's the treasure maps, which is actually 2 in 1. You got to find a map, and then you have to find where the treasure is. And it's always somewhere completely different. I'm so lucky that I found all the maps already, and I just had to go find the locations. But I got them all. I've got all those things. The dumb part is out of the way. All that's left are the combat challenges and the optional bosses. I've beaten a few of those, and the first 2 were super easy, and then the next one was pretty difficult. It took me about 4 or 5 tries as she screamed at me over and over again, Valhalla, Valhalla, and then stepped on my neck until I died.
Are these the Valkyries?
The Valkyries, yeah.
Yeah, I fought a couple of them when I played. The first one I beat was pretty easy. The second one was a beat, but it was a significant step up in challenge.
Yeah, they're definitely varied, and but it's fun because there's a story to it. There's a story about why you're fighting the Valkyries and all that, and then like it unlocks a little layer until you get to the end and you fight the final one, and they're gonna give you like, oh, but it's still gonna leave on a cliffhanger because I have watched what happens. But let's see, fast travel, terrible. You have to go to the thing first, and the load times are so bad. I might stop until I get my PS5 and finish when I do, so I can play the upgraded version that they just released recently, like last week or the week before. But yeah, I'm going to go for that plat, but like I said, it's just kind of cumbersome, and I'm going to be dying a lot in the near future because the only thing I left are combat trials, and while the beginnings of them are easy, they definitely get a lot harder, even with the New Game Plus stuff. And so I don't want to be sitting through load times for like half of my journey through that. So next up,
building your appetite for when God of War 2 comes out.
Yeah, later this year. I don't want to be rusty, at the end of 2021 when I'm going to be playing God of War Ragnarok
on New Year's Day.
No,
New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve. Thank you very much. Yes.
Sorry.
11:59.
You got high hopes for this year.
I do. I've got super high hopes. I downloaded the Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker demo, which was fun. It's really cute. Has anybody else here played that before?
I have not.
I've played some of it on the Wii U back in the day.
Did you enjoy it?
I did.
Yeah.
Delightful.
So what it is you're basically in this cube, little diorama, tiny little puzzle land. And you're Captain Toad.
It's like the shoebox of the Adobe Indians you made in 3rd grade.
Exactly. And there's little, sometimes there's enemies, almost always, little nooks and crannies and ladders and puzzles and levers, and you pull and it moves stuff. And the goal of the level is to get from one point, basically your starting point, to the star, which might be behind something or, it almost always is locked behind some sort of fairly simple puzzle. Littered throughout are 3 gems as well. And then on top of that, every level has like an additional like achievement kind of thing you can do, like finish the level with 45 coins, which would basically mean get all the coins in the level, or finish it by destroying or killing all the enemies, because you can pick up turnips like from Super Mario 2 and throw them at the Shy Guys and the little flying owl things. But the part that I had the most fun with was I played it with my daughter. I was like, she's going to like this. And sure enough, she did. She thought it was really fun. It was super cute. She beat all 3 levels, with my assistance on a couple of things. But for the most part, she got it. It's got 2-player, but it might as well not. Basically, one person takes a Joy-Con and they control Captain Toad, and the other person can point the cursor at the screen, which does control very few things. And they also then are in control of the camera, which would be terrible if I was like playing with Jason or Sean. Like, why would I want control of the camera while they control the person? That sounds dumb. But when you're playing with a small child who doesn't do well with 2 hands on, one on a movement stick and another on a camera, it was very helpful for me to be able to rotate it when needed, because I was like, turn it this way, and then she would always turn it the opposite direction, which means she's like basically doing a 359-degree circle around the wrong way before she got to the one point she needed to be. But I was patient. I didn't get upset. So kudos to me.
Good job, dude. That is hard.
It is. It's very hard. Teaching 7-year-olds how to play like a big boy. But yeah, it's fun. And it's only $40, and sometimes it's on sale, very rarely, but sometimes it's on sale. I'm sure I could get it probably for like 30 physical. So that's something I'd be willing to do. But yeah, I liked it a lot. And I will check out the levels in Super Mario World, 3D World, because I skipped them when I was playing before on my Wii U, but I'll go back and check those out now that I know how fun Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker is.
Nice.
Yeah. I got another game that I think I'll save for later when we hit that in the Nintendo Direct. It'll be
That's what I was going to ask if you could do.
Yeah, I'll do that later. And then finally, I got Ring Fit Adventure. It came yesterday evening, so I've had very little time with it. Sean, you said more like what? I was going to put a pun there about how bad I am at being like fit and exercising, but I did one session. It took a lot longer to set up than I thought it would. Basically, you've got the ring for, the title. You put one Joy-Con in there, and then you have a leg strap, so you put it on your thigh, tie it in there. So it takes a lot of calibration. They want to see what your jogging speed is. They want to see what your fast jogging speed is. They want to see what they want to measure what your high knees are. They take your weight and your age. They test your strength when you squeeze in on the ring. They test your strength when you pull out on the ring. They walk you through a bunch of... Because you can use the ring and the motion of the Joy-Con attached to it, like basically as a controller, so you can like tilt it or flick it down and up to like go up and down on a menu. You can turn it like a steering wheel to go left and right on a menu if you needed to. I jumped into the adventure mode. Basically, there was this like ring artifact, and you pick it up, and it's talking to you, and it says, "Hey, let me out!" And then I immediately went, "Well, that's an evil demon inside of that." And Juliet's like, "What? How do you know?" I'm like, "Just watch." And then, sure enough, this really buff, like super muscular dragon jumps out, and he's like, "Roar! You've imprisoned me forever, and I'm gonna go be fit over here." And then the ring's like, "Wow, what did you do? You gotta help me get him back inside of me," because the ring becomes a person apparently. And then he syncs himself up with you, and you turn into a Super Saiyan for half a second. And basically, that's the thing. Like, as you get better at the exercise, you get more in sync with the ring, your hair goes on fire, and you start doing better and going faster and all that kind of stuff. And the first thing is basically just jog in place for 2 minutes, and it was one of the most tiring things I've done in a really, really long time. I was in jeans, though, with a shirt. I was just doing this after work. Yeah, it was a bad idea. But at one point, like, so you're jogging to move your character forward. You have to jog. Eventually, he stops moving. If you stop moving, makes sense. But then there are, like, boxes and coins you can collect that go towards a total. I think there's, like, an experience point system. I got to level 2. I don't know what that means yet. But you can shoot the ring by squeezing it in. And then you can, like, do jumps by pointing the ring down and then squeezing the ring. And he'll kind of do, like, this little air thing comes out, like this little ring that propels you upward. You can pull on it to suck stuff in. And so all these things happening at once, that's where the fitness comes in. And again, I'm sure at some point they'll have me doing sit-ups and other weird stuff, because sit-ups are weird apparently, in level 2 and 3 and so forth and so on. And I hope I can get, like a decent rhythm going, but $70. It's fun. It's going to get me to exercise. Juliet loves it already. She just didn't have a chance. Nobody had a chance to play, but Rachel's going to give it a whirl tomorrow as well, because they have the day off for the most part. So we're going to get my family healthy, thanks to Nintendo.
Sweet.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then you can join me in fitness boxing.
Yes.
A real man's workout game.
I've actually heard from what I read, and I've thought about actually picking up Ring Fit Adventure as well. But that it's actually one. It gives you. I mean, if you're a guy who's going to the gym all the time, yeah, it's probably not going to give you a great workout.
No.
But if you're not used to working out, apparently it gives you a decent workout, and the actual playing the game and the little story that goes along with the game is fairly good. So
yeah.
I hope you enjoy it.
I look forward to it.
What happens when you beat it? Do you get a 6-pack or something? Like what?
They just give
what
it to
does
you. Yeah.
beating this game mean?
No idea.
Yeah, they mail you spray on abs.
Oh, I love that.
I know what I got myself for beating the level. I got myself a slice of pizza because it was pizza night.
Heck yeah.
And it tasted so good. So good. Nothing tasted as good as that pizza after.
Post-workout food.
Post-workout food. It was so good. And then I didn't shower because I'm disgusting.
Yeah. Hashtag working from home.
Exactly. All right. Thanks for letting me go first, boys. Sean, why don't you fill us in on your brand new toy?
So my best friends in the whole world, my co-host, got me an Xbox Elite Series 2. And this thing's awesome.
You
I
have
mean,
it? Are you holding
it's
it up right
just-
now?
Yeah, I'm holding it
Okay.
up right now. Yeah, so I mean, the big selling point obviously is you got the paddles on the back, and you're sitting there, and so the ability to map the paddles to like your ABXY, but also it's got the other physical things. So it's got the travel distance for the triggers. You can do the full travel distance. You can do kind of a midway or like hair triggers. It's got the tightness on the thumbsticks. It comes with like the old like it comes with already on it the Xbox One style thumbsticks. You can put on Xbox 360 style thumbsticks, and then it comes with like a dome and a tall. So like tall for your right thumbstick for shooters. And like all that's great, and like all that alone makes this thing awesome. In addition to the rechargeable battery and the metal and the grips and the weight to it, that just makes it so nice to hold. But then you load up the accessories app, and now you can sit there and not only can you remap any button to any other button, but it turns out you can set a button to be shift, which then means when you're holding the shift button, you can remap. You can now give a secondary function to like every other button.
So you have
So,
like double
you know-
buttons minus one.
What's that?
You have like double the buttons minus one.
-1. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And so, I'm sitting here and it's like, oh man, like I can make the easily accessible paddle my shift, and then now I can reset my bumpers and my triggers, because those are obviously very easily accessible, and I'm always ready to hit those. And so I'm sitting here looking at every game that I'm getting ready to play, and it's like, oh, all right, because you can keep 3 profiles on the controller at a time, but you can also save hundreds of other profiles basically to your Xbox account, and then swap them out and download them onto the controller. So it's like, all right, so I've already built like a simple Skyrim one. I started a Titanfall 2 one, which is also the precursor to me telling you what games I've played this week. The Titanfall 2 one's probably going to take me for like a week in and of itself just to optimize. But then even on the shift, you can like set like at what point on the trigger on the trigger pull does it actually send the full signal device, like the partial signals. Or you can set like the responsiveness of the stick. So you got the actual stiffness of the stick that you can set physically, but then you can actually set the responsiveness of the controllers. You put inputs into the thumbsticks.
So, maybe I'm just not understanding how this works because I'm stupid, but do you envision this being a problem going from game to game?
Possibly. So I played with it all day on Monday. In fact, I joked, that when I got this, I had company over, and I was like, all right, company needs to leave. I want to go play with my new toy. And so like I set it up, and I played it with Skyrim, basically just mapping A, B, X, Y to the paddles, and then actually I took off X, and I made that shift, and then I just gave a shift function to the other the 3 remaining paddles. And I can definitely see where like I'm gonna sit there and but I don't know, because I don't tend to play like more than 1 FPS at a time, and I can probably I think it's gonna end up being mapped to like genre. Like, all right, almost all my shooters are gonna play with whatever setup I eventually develop for Titanfall 2,
smart.
and that'll probably be okay. But like what I think's eventually gonna bite me in the butt is like one day I'm gonna go on a vacation and visit somebody and not bring my Elite 2, and they're like,
Oh my
you want to play
gosh.
some video games? And I'm gonna be like, yeah, and then I'm just gonna be angry at like as I hold this generic controller.
Jason, this is our chance. This is going to ruin him for Smash Brothers.
I was literally just thinking that.
We've got him. It was a trap, Sean. You fell right into it.
such a long play waiting for such great controller technology to finally come
Worth
along.
every penny.
I was thinking earlier today, I was like, oh, I wonder how long until I'm willing to say that this has supplanted the Wavebird as my favorite controller, and the answer it's already my
Yep.
favorite controller.
That's
Same
fair.
here. Same here.
It's so nice. Also, just magnets. It has the joysticks and the D-pad are held on with magnets. Like, it's just awesome. I love it.
That's cool.
Thank you.
Can you
so
take
much,
the plate
guys.
off? I didn't know how
welcome.
how customizable is the physical controller itself.
Like the actual you're talking about like just the case essentially for the controller.
That really anything. Like I saw immediately when I was browsing to purchase it, like how customizable, like you just described it was like a software level. Like this button's actually now this button, and you add the shift function, etc.
You can, like I said, you can pull off and swap out the thumbsticks. It does come with like it's got kind of that like more futuristic D-pad. At default, it has a regular a regular cross D-pad, and then the paddles can actually come out, and you can swap like because it has like a long paddle and then like a short paddle, and you can actually swap what position in the paddles it's on or take them off if they're bothering you for some strange reason that you bought an elite but don't want the battles.
Right.
No comment.
I hate you.
Wait, do you have one?
Yeah, man. Episode like 7.
I know he has one. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about our favorite controllers, and I talked about this controller for like an hour.
Okay.
I listened to episode 7 and I was like, oh man, I forgot about the elite. And then I went looking for one like after that, and it was in that period where like they hadn't done the second run of the stock yet, and you could not find one. And I was like, so angry
because it was right after Christmas, basically.
Dude, it was hard to find one when we got the idea. All of a sudden, it was like, oh, it's the PS5 all over again.
Yeah.
Sean? Did yours come with that charging case?
It does, yeah. So
that's
it
pretty
has
cool too.
A nice charging case that like the charger plugs into, like the charging cable will plug into the case. And it's great because like the case has magnets in it too, so it always like lines itself up properly in the case to properly charge.
Yeah, I'm showing all this on video because I've got mine out as well.
Every bit of this is it is a high end controller, and like like I said, the whole like being able to set the different like responsive and response curves, so it's not just like the normal linear curve on the controller. Like it's gonna take me forever to figure out like, oh maybe I want like responsiveness in the first little bit for like my right joystick for shooters, so I got that fine movement, but then like farther out, I want it to die down because that's my flinch shots and stuff like that, and it's like it's gonna take me forever to like fine tune this thing, and then yeah, you're right, I'm gonna be wrecked for playing games without this controller because I'm gonna become used to all of the little advantages.
It feels so good in your hand.
Oh, it has such nice like weightiness to it, and then the rubberized grip to it.
It feels premium for sure.
Oh, it is 100% premium. So I loaded up Titanfall 2 was the first thing I loaded up with, and I did some basic mapping, and I just ran the gauntlet like again and again, and was like bunny hopping, which is in Titanfall 2, because it's all about speed. One way you can maintain speed is that when you slide, coming out of a jump, you like if you crouch right before you hit the ground, or if you hit crouch while in air, you'll crouch and slide, and that actually gives you a speed boost. And if you jump and you kind of repeat that, so you get this constant hopping to move. That's faster than like sprinting. The hard thing with bunny hop is in Titanfall, B is your default to for crouching. In fact, normally one of the face buttons is also your jump. I've run paddle jumper where the bumper is my jump, and I'm going to keep it that way. But now I've been able to move B to one of the paddles, and so now I'm jumping with my bumper and then crouching with the paddle, and so like bunny hopping is going to become effortless. I'm looking at things like moving my tactical because I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it to my shift on one of my bumpers, because my tactical I use pulse blade, and so this will give me. It used to be I had to hit A to do that, and so where I wanted to throw it, I had to like line up and then hit A. But you can also use the pulse blade offensively. It's a one-shot kill on people. So now like my ability to kill people with the pulse blade is going to become easier. I won't say it'll ever become easy because I'm probably not that good. But there's gonna be some definite time of me playing Titanfall 2 this weekend and getting the controller situated in, and definitely expect a video, especially because some of my other one of my college friends and his friend I think have gotten back into playing Titanfall 2 at least for a little bit, so I'll have people to play with. So I will certainly be playing some Titanfall 2 this weekend.
Record it.
I will record at least a couple matches for the channel.
So you haven't done any PvP yet, though?
Not yet, because I'm trying to I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the gauntlet a few more times and work on fine tuning it, and then there's a few of the Titanfall 2 you can find helmets, like pilot helmets on the levels that are collectibles. So I've got like 4 or 5 left that I just never bothered to go and get. I may like look up guys to get them, and then that way I'll be able to play the campaign, and that'll help me get used to whatever control setup I settle up on. And then once I've got that, I'll probably go play some PvP.
Perfect. Cool. Well, we're glad you like it.
Oh, it's awesome. Thank you guys. It is one of those things I've been wanting to buy, and so to have one now, it exceeds my expectations.
Excellent.
I played a little bit of Hyrule Warriors 2 nights ago with the wife. Like still really fun to play with her and I, just because especially like a post dinner, enjoying some drinks, just going and just clobbering bokoblins and moblins and whatnot. Like it's really fun, but I am finding with that game that like if at least one of you doesn't use like the same character almost every time, I'm like you're not going to be a high enough level by the time you hit like the next story mission in order to proceed.
Interesting.
So the game's getting, I think, a little grindy for us, where it's like I got to spend some time in order to like level up a character, and then pay the rupees to get another character up to that level, because we're bouncing around characters too much.
Right.
And so that's a little bit annoying. And it is definitely showing a little bit of kind of the repetitive combat nature of the game.
Yeah, I actually played a little of this myself.
Nice.
I was astounded that I'd gotten as far as I did and still only played 4 hours. And I was wondering if, like, is this game way longer than I thought? Or it was weird. Like, I only just got Urbosa. I still don't even have Rivali. So of the 4 champions,
really?
I don't even have them all. But I'm kind of disappointed that, like, because, like, it's fun to bounce around. Like, I don't love any one of them enough to want to main them. I could, but I don't want to. Although I do like Urbosa a lot. So, yeah.
My wife is a big Urbosa fan. I'm still pretty solid on. Well, I tend to play Impa because even if I'm under leveled, I can usually. She's just so powerful. I can power my way through a level.
Yeah.
But I mean, we'll keep playing it. Yeah. If I've not, since I have my schedule. I mean, I've got this to beat on the list to beat until the end of March. Oh, I was supposed to beat Astroneer this month. That's not gonna happen.
You got 12 or 10 days.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. We'll see.
I'm gonna cry. I'm doing
I think I
so
have like
bad.
2 or 3 planets left in order to get all the achievements. I think left, or all the planetary achievements, which was, and then roll credits. That'll allow me to roll credits.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, we'll keep playing it. We hit enough levels last night, and then she was like, "Hey, I think I'm done. I think we're a level or 2 above the required level for the next story mission." So we'll go do that, and then I may, outside of when she feels like playing, I may just like grind a couple characters a little bit just to make it easier so we can do some story, because we got 1 or 2 story missions past getting all 4 champions, and then we've been like playing like a bunch of the side missions, which just aren't as fun because they're just like
they're very specific objectives.
They are, and that's where it gets repetitive, because it's not like there's a cutscene or whatnot that tells you why you're doing it. It's just like, oh, protect Zelda because the little text box said so. It's like, all right.
Right. Now, there is an easy mode. I don't know if you can access it before you beat it, though, but presumably you can. Do you guys just want to switch that on? Like, for each level, it can be easy.
We haven't failed any level yet. Like, even the time levels, like, we've beaten.
Right.
And we've done them sometimes a level or 2, so I may just be like overly paranoid about not being at the recommended level for story missions.
Might be.
And it may just be, hey, if we're at least close, we should just pick the level. But I don't know. Like, we're playing it very low key, so I'm
True. It's on your back burner kind of.
Yeah. And then final thing I played was Skyrim. A lot of Skyrim.
Disappointment.
Oh. Like an entire, I woke up on Monday, did a quick workout, and then played Skyrim for the rest of the day.
That's amazing.
Skyrim.
It was your birthday treat. I mean,
right?
I'd say you earned it, man. You made it like 6 weeks. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I got up to what, like 40 something days, I think was where we were at when I finally broke.
This podcast is all about giving into your addictions and bad habits.
It is.
But I finished. I picked up last time I had given in. I had played through a good chunk of the main storyline where you have to defeat. You have to figure out why dragons are coming back and then defeat Alduin. So I beat Alduin and I did all that. And then across running obviously I sent you running across Skyrim, and I would do side quests here and there. But what I've been doing is at the end of every day, and I've been I'm in month 3 or 4 in game now. I journal. In character, so my character basically at the end of the day is supposed to be sitting down, and because I've got a needs mod, I have to sleep at the end of the day or I start getting penalties. So it forces me to, like, I'm not, with some exceptions where like I'm in a dungeon and my character has to power through because I'm not sleeping in a dungeon. So it was kind of fun because before I started up again, I was like, well, what was I doing? And I went back and I read the last few days, and I was like, oh, and then I went all the way back to the beginning and read through like the 3 month of journal entries of this character living his life, and starting off, and then I did like the Dawnguard quest, so him getting wrapped up in that, and then timed it to where, because I'd never gone to Helgen, so then the dragon showed up, and so now my character is the Dragonborn, but he has a bunch of side quests he picked up. So the next time I play, my goal is my character said, all right, I've dealt with the dragon crisis, I can now deal with these lesser problems that I didn't make time to deal with. And it's going to wander across Skyrim and finish off a bunch of side quests I picked up.
Couple questions.
Sorry, go ahead, Jason.
No, well, so you had never gone to Helgen. Does that mean you had never beaten that first dragon?
Yeah. So I play with a mod called Alternate Start, which lets you pick a different basically a different storyline. And so you get like a little quest that says, "Hey, there's been some rumors of something weird going on at Helgen," and when you go, it gives you it basically sets up to then start the main storyline. But it's interesting because until you do that and then beat the first dragon outside of Whiterun, you don't absorb dragon souls. And so
That's what I was gonna say. So did you not go see the Greybeards or anything?
No, I didn't do that until like I was probably like level 40 before I did.
Holy cow!
Like 35 or 40.
So does that mean did you not have shouts?
No shouts.
That's insane, dude. How does the journaling work? Do you have to physically type it, or is it?
Yeah, that's what I was.
No, it's so I'm doing it. I'm doing it on my phone.
Interesting.
So basically, like I tell my character to go rest, and then then you hit and it counts on the rest, and then I'll basically when it's done resting, or what I tend to do is I'll hit the Xbox menu button because when that menu comes up, it'll automatically pause Skyrim, and then I'll put in the journal entry, and then I'll pick back up the controller and keep playing.
Wait, but
so you.
Are you journaling for you, or is this somehow part of a mod?
No, I'm just So I'm writing journal entries as if I'm my character.
Okay, that's what I thought at first, but then you started talking more, and I was like, wait, is that a mod? But then, okay, now, yeah, I got it.
There are mods in the game that like add journals. They're not on the Xbox. There's PCs where you can like add a mod that would allow you to like type in journal entries for your character, and it would keep it all recorded in game. But it's just it's if you're I've played so much Skyrim at this point that like. Mm-hmm. Picking a character and role playing the character and adds a little bit more variety and fun to the game.
It's a really cool idea. I like it.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and so dealing with stuff like the his reaction to the dragon crisis, or I did the Dawn Guard, so the whole vampire thing, and you kind of build that relationship with the Serana, the vampire voiced by Laura Bailey. So it's been a nice way, and then I like writing, and it's a good way for me to practice writing while or telling myself that I'm practicing writing while still playing one of my favorite video games.
Have any of your D&D campaign ideas come from your journaling in Skyrim?
Ooh. Well, my D&D world is very dragon dependent, and there's probably something to be said about it being very dragon dependent and playing Skyrim with all of its dragons.
Dragons are
fair
cool.
enough.
But dragons, that's the other thing. I mean, I also play Dungeons and Dragons. So,
It's in the name. It's in the title.
It's a legal obligation.
I did not get to the messenger. I was going to play last night, and a buddy of mine gave me a call, and him and I ended up being chatting for a couple hours. So the 8 of the time I had sequestered away, hoping to play the messenger. But I will hopefully get to that this weekend and have I'm hoping to basically record me playing through the messenger.
Cool.
That's it for me. Mostly just loving my controller. How about you, Jason?
I've been playing a couple games. Kind of a light week, but a couple games that I've played with Luke, and I'm going to give Mario Kart 8 a rest, although I have been playing that. But one thing that we started this week is we started Super Mario Odyssey. It's such a good game. And so the way that we're doing it is I told Luke, for this game, I've got to be first player, and you get to be this awesome hat. And he was pretty jacked about it because I didn't think I was going to be able to convince him to do it.
Hats are very cool.
Yeah, he loves the fact
Says
that
guy.
As you collect those purple coins, you can go into those shops and dress Cappy up. So,
Julia would love that.
Dude, he friggin' loves it. Like right now, he's a sombrero, and he was so excited when I got like the poncho to go with it because we were in the Sand Kingdom.
Right.
But it is hilarious trying to play this game with him because I beat this game. No, I did not do like the equivalent of a platinum for this game. I didn't get all the moons or whatever, but I rolled credits on this game back when it came out. And so I'm kind of playing it through it a second time with Luke, and it's so much fun to play, and it's almost like an interesting handicap to have him as Cappy, because while there are some things that he can do that are beneficial for me, a lot of what he does is make me jump when I don't want to jump, and then take my ability to throw the hat when I need it. Because he doesn't really get the game. But it's so funny because what we have mastered is the long jumps across a pretty great distance. He can help me by, I say push the jump button when I'm halfway through, and he's figured out how to time that to where, I'll do the initial jump and then he'll do the, get us over to the other side.
Explain to me how a 2-player works in this game, because I've never done it or seen it. I don't know anything about how working Cappy separate from Mario works.
Sure, yeah. I didn't either when I started. So the way that it works is the player 1 is Mario, and you control everything that Mario does just like you normally would. Player 2 is Cappy. So the cap floats above your head. So you, as player 1, no longer have the ability to throw the hat. Whoever is controlling Cappy throws the hat.
That sounds so hard.
And when they're out there, they can stay out there and fly around wherever they want to go. And so they don't have to come back to you. Now, what I will say is there is a one motion control where you kind of flick your controller like you're throwing a Frisbee.
Yeah.
And that will spin the cap around you several times in a circle. You could still do that if Cappy's on your head. And you can still throw Cappy if Cappy's on your head. But if player 2 decides they're going to float off and do whatever they want to do, then you've got no cap to throw. And if they are floating above your head and they press the jump button, it automatically triggers Mario to jump on top of the cap and bounce. And this is where some of the issue comes in.
That's so
because I'll be like trying to do a boss fight and I'm just jumping like a freaking maniac. I cannot control my guy. So we made it to the Sand
I just
Kingdom.
envision like Mario be like, "Hey, Bowser, I'm here," and then Cappy just like floats off, and Mario's like, "Oh crap!"
That's pretty much exactly what we're doing. But yeah, I know it's a lot of fun, and it's so awesome to see Luke get so into it because, especially during the boss fights, he's actually decent at the boss fights because it is an arena, and so there's not as much, you can't float off and be like, "Hey, where's my guy?" You're kind of in the arena, and so he's actually decent at the boss fights, and he gets so jacked when we beat a boss. Like you ever seen that gif of that kid, that very young kid at a Penguins hockey game, and the hockey player scores a goal and he's like, "Yeah!" And he's like, with everything that he has, his like arms are shaking. That is what Luke is like when we beat a boss. He goes crazy.
Adorable.
But he did get scared of the boss on the Sand Kingdom, the end level boss at the Sand Kingdom. It's that giant head with 2 floating arms, and it looks a bit like Andros from Star Fox 64. He got a little bit scared of that boss, and he won't let us go back into the game.
Oh.
The funny thing is we played that boss 3 or 4 times, and he was fine with it. And the other funny thing is he is tracking the story like perfectly. He's like, okay, so Bowser's got Peach, and then they're going to the Sand Kingdom, and they're going to get the ring for their wedding. And now this guy thinks we stole the ring, but we didn't steal the ring, Dada. Bowser stole the ring. It's hilarious.
I can't wait for the like, "Dad, how can a giant turtle and Princess Peach be a couple?"
That'll be
Bowser
a conversation.
Jr. Perfect explanation.
So yeah, we've been playing Super Mario Odyssey. We've also been playing Super Mario 3D World, which has been awesome. And Karch, you can attest to the fact that this is a fantastic family game.
Yep.
It is definitely a relationship test for you and your spouse.
Not the way we play it, but I could see how.
Well, see, Lauren doesn't do games really, period, and let alone these 3D games. And so even just walking from point A to point B is a little bit of a challenge because she loses track of her character. Meanwhile, Luke's going crazy. He thinks it's hilarious to just jump off the edge. So he'll just like jump off the edge, respawn, jump off the edge, respawn, jump off the edge, cracking up, using all of our lives. So that basically means Lauren and I get 1 life for each level. And, Lauren dies pretty easily. And so then she's gone. Then Luke dies and he's gone. And I have to beat the rest of the level. Sometimes Luke freaks out because he doesn't come back. And so he will just press the home button and close the game so we can restart.
Jerk. Get back here.
So we've made it to the third world. And again, in this game, he gets so jacked when we beat the bosses. He lives for boss fights. He's going to be a Soulsborne guy, I can tell.
Oh, yeah, just like Rich Uncle Greg.
Exactly.
You're going to eventually get him on like Shadows of the Colossus, where it's just all boss fights.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
I'm really happy that you're raising him up right, because you're a failure when it comes to video games.
I
But
am.
He's not going to be. He's going to
No.
play consistently, and we're going to replace him on the podcast as soon as we're able.
I would love that. Yeah, I was actually talking to a coworker about this the other day because she got her kids a Switch, and I'm just like, it warms my heart to see this next generation of Nintendo fans,
For sure.
because I did for a while kind of fear for them that you see so many kids gravitate towards like Fortnite and PlayStation and Xbox and those types of games. It's like, well, how much longer does Nintendo have, to make games? I want these games. But to see that there are kids out there that are getting attached to this kind of thing, and they're going to be lifelong fans, like, that's awesome.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, we all have to do our part. We all have to raise the next generation of Nintendo fans.
Absolutely.
And then finally, I played some Star Wars Battlefront 2 with Josh and Tyler last night. I was terrible at it. It was difficult to survive more than a few minutes, especially when we did team battle. But even against the AI, I was just they had co-op missions, and I was just terrible. The way that these work, so this is a third-person shooter. It looked really good because I have the 3070 in here, and I'm playing on 1080p, so I was getting 200 frames per second on ultra settings, and
Oh wow.
it looked good, dude. It looked good even at 1080p. This game came out in 2017, but yeah, it was a good looking game. I won't say it was photorealistic because I didn't have those mods on, but it was, like I said, I can't imagine it being much better, for a AAA Star Wars game. That said, like I said, I was bad at it. This is one of those games that's been out for 4 years, so everybody who's playing it still was really good at it. And in team battle, I was just getting murdered. And then, I would get a couple of player kills here or there because it only takes a couple shots to take somebody down. But that's the thing. It only takes a couple of shots to take somebody down. So then I would die. And I think it is just one of those games where you're a stormtrooper. You're going in, you're dying, you're respawning, etc. You're doing the mission. Most of the missions were geared around, defending a certain point on the map. The co-op missions were kind of interesting in that it would tell you, hey, you've got to defend points A, B, C, and D. Well, we only have 3 people, so we're kind of we don't really know the strategy here. What we were doing is, okay, Josh, you go to A, I'll go to B, Tyler, you go to C. D is going to have to take care of itself. And inevitably what would happen is like every single one of those points would get overrun, and then you have to retreat. Once you retreat, a Jedi comes out. Once Jedi comes out, you're dead. There's just, you could try to kill this Jedi, but you are dead. And when all 4 of you die, you lose the level. So we didn't actually beat any of the co-op missions.
How many people can play co-op at a time?
That I'm not sure, but I would imagine at least 4.
That sounds fun though. Like, it sounds like a challenge, and especially
it was. Sorry, go ahead.
AI, you said, right?
So yeah, there is a team battle, but on those missions, yeah, it's just first AI.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, I would be willing to play more, even though I was terrible, because I was having fun. And they have some sort of interesting kind of XP currency thing where, like, let's say when you initially start the battle, you will be a generic profile, be it there's like an assault profile, there's a heavy profile, there's like a sniper profile, the prototypical things that you would have for a shooter. You start out and you're like a generic version of that. Once you get in there and you defend a base or you pull off some kills against the AI, you'll gain a certain amount of XP. When you die and you respawn, you can spend that currency on getting an upgraded version of that class of character. I'm not sure if that translates to better stats, but cosmetically, it is kind of cool to be like, oh, I want to try to be, I want to be a Wookiee for this run here. Oh, I got to get 2,000 XP on my next, outing here to do it. And they're pretty quick turnarounds because, like I said, I was dying every 2 minutes. But I would totally play more. This is a game that I'd like to get better at, and it was fun. It didn't feel cheap in terms of like the kills. They were legit. I wasn't just dying out of nowhere. I was dying because I'm an idiot and I'm bad at the game. So there was that aspect of it, and I was like, oh yeah, I'd be down to play more of this.
I'll tell you why you were dying.
Tell me.
Because you took the paddles off your controller.
Beat me to it.
Maybe, except for I was playing with keyboard and mouse, because I'm not a noob, Karch. Not a console noob.
You know, everything you described, it tells me that's exactly what you are.
Again, I'd like to defend myself, but I can't.
Hey, there's
It's gonna be Jason's catchphrase from now on.
There's only one way to get better, and it's to play more.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, it sounds funny. I thought about booting up Overwatch, a few times actually, way more than I have over the past year in the last couple of months. I was like, I'm feeling a little competitive. I want to play a little Overwatch, and then I always talk myself out of it. It was like, even if you have a great time, it's gonna feel like wasted time to you as far as like your gaming time is concerned, and so I just never do it. And it's always the same thing anytime I think about, because this game, you got this for free on Epic when they did the thing.
I think I paid $2 for it on Steam like a month before it was free on Epic. Yeah.
So that's my point though. It's not expensive. I could pretty much get in for free for all.
Dude,
intents and
it's on
purposes.
Game Pass now. So the next time you guys are subbed to Game Pass, I'd love to check this game out with the two of you.
Right, but even so cheap, I'm just like, I'm just not gonna bother because I just talk myself out of it every time. But if it is a Jason, Sean, Robert, maybe even Aaron kind of thing one day, then yeah, for sure I'll play.
Sweet,
because it does look really fun. All right, now it is time for our topic of the week, and as we mentioned earlier, that topic of the week is the Nintendo Direct. Get wrecked, Nintendo. Haha, nice.
Get
good
wrecked,
subtitle.
Nintendo.
So this was the first major regular classic Nintendo Direct. I don't know, it's just a Nintendo Direct. It's the first regular one we've had since September 2019. They announced it on Wednesday? No, it was Tuesday, I think. Either way, it was only like 24 hours until you could watch it, which is nice. It's like, oh, cool. Because I don't think anybody was talking about rumors of this or anything. So it was like, oh, cool, return to form after all these weird shadow drops with like Paper Mario Origami and the 3D Mario, or the Mario 35th anniversary with all the 3D port titles and stuff and everything else they were doing. So it was kind of up in the air, like, were we going to get more of these or not? And it turns out we are. Hopefully we get more, because this one was So yes, let's dive in. It was 50 minutes. What were our general impressions? Jason, let's start with you.
So very high level.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say that in general, I'm not a fan of the type of presentation they did where they had that really corny sounding voiceover that talks over every trailer.
That's what they've been doing since they've done these, though.
I know, but I've never been a fan of it. But it's like,
okay, just make sure.
Please join us while you watch this trailer, and you will jump into the sky, shoot paintballs at your friends. It just sounds so, I don't know. Between that and having to dub over the Japanese, it's got a weird aesthetic to me. It's fine.
So that's your summed high level. It's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fine. I mean, I'm gonna judge this on the content, not the presentation. But if I'm talking like pace and like how it made me feel, I much prefer an event like what Xbox and Sony did with the console reveal events, where it is kind of like more, maybe it's just my Western brain. I want the high octane. I want the bam, bam, bam. And this did give me the bam, bam, bam in terms of the announcements, but in the terms of the presentation, it just felt like off to me, because I am used to the more produced cinematic Hollywood high octane sort of presentation in this. That feel a bit more like a carnival.
You are a production queen. We'll say that.
What about Sean?
I mean, I'll say that to me, the style of the Direct feels like classic Nintendo. Like it like the way they do it, and it's all kind of lighthearted and at their own pace and their own style is certainly classic Nintendo. My general feelings on this was we maybe got a little bit too excited on like, oh man, they just like. It's the first Direct in over a year. Clearly, if they're going back to Directs, it's because they got something really big to tell us. And as we'll talk about, we didn't really quite get that. So maybe you went into with a little bit too high of expectations. and so got a little burnt there, but I mean, still enjoyed watching it. Came out as we'll talk about with a couple things that I am excited for. Maybe not as excited as I would have been for the things I wanted, but that's probably the nature of the beast.
Yep. I will counter with I don't think we got too excited at all. I don't think it was at all uncalled for to be excited about a 50-minute Nintendo Direct after over a year and a half. Again, they've had things in between, but
yeah,
this was catch up. For some reason, I don't know why. Some of this I can see why they might have held it till today or held it to this moment. Some of it, though, you could have just announced this at another partner mini direct. None of this, so much of this just didn't have to be here. So basically, overall,
I don't know.
C minus.
We've been
slightly
burnt
disappointed.
by Nintendo so much that I feel like maybe I should just have expected to have been burnt by Nintendo again because it's Nintendo and that's what they do to us.
Yeah, but they don't
To
have
be fair,
to.
I didn't make a formal predictions video, but I did say be prepared for Arms 2 and Splatoon 3. That's in our text thread. That's what
true.
I said.
You did say that. I forgot about the Splatoon 3 thing, so you got that one right. But yeah, I was a little bit disappointed. I am still super excited for a few things, so that's nice.
Yes.
But I guess overall, I just think it was too long. I was like, it just didn't need to be this long. I wouldn't have been as hyped if it had been it's only going to be 20 minutes. I'm like, okay, because then it would have been 20 minutes of really awesome stuff because you would have had to cut the fat because there was so much fat in this. And we'll get to some of that. I'm not going to go through every game. I've got a list of things I really want to talk about that I think that we'll all want to talk about. If you guys have stuff to throw in there that I'm leaving out, just, chime in when you can. Jason mentioned predictions. We did do a predictions video, our very first predictions video. Real quick, it was just some fun little thing. Sean, how did yours go?
I think I was wrong on every account except for I called a new Smash character. I just definitely didn't call the right Smash character.
Unfortunately, I would have preferred Tingle over what we ended
I would have
getting.
loved Tingle.
And
it would have been so hilarious.
It would have been. I got burned too on everything, especially Breath of the Wild. But I did get Mario Golf right, so
You did get Mario Golf right.
I'm excited about that, and we will get to that in just a moment. So let's dive in to the announcements. They open up with one of my least favorite games of all time, cinematic trailer for Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and I was really surprised to see it. And I guess I'm just dumb or I don't pay attention, but when it says not actual gameplay footage, but it looks like it could be in-engine, that's usually the indicator that this is a Smash thing. So a lot of people already knew, the second that started, oh, this is a Smash announcement. Me, I was totally surprised when she turns around, at least until almost the last minutes up until then. I think it said it was coming out in March. I didn't get the exact date.
Yeah, I think I know it was March.
So it's interesting. Pyra is basically the main character, Rex, that boy. It has a sword, a blade, they call it. And every blade has a sentient force inside of it. It the blade is the sentient force. The sentient force is the blade. That's how it goes. And Pyra and then the blonde chick Mithra are basically the other main character. They're tandem main characters. They're partners in the game, and it's about them and their journey. So it was interesting that they went with her instead of him. I thought that was a fun little twist. They totally made the costumes less risque. The artist for that, I believe, was a former hentai artist. So it explains some of the designs you see in that game, which are just egregious. It's awful. The Pyra and Mithra both have huge boob window outfits where they have almost nothing on their tops. They have mini skirts or really, really, really short shorts. So instead of the leggings that you saw in Smash Bros, they've got that. So I only bring that up is because at one point Sakurai mentions that a certain character from the final fight where Terry came from couldn't be in it because that Smash Bros is for good little boys and girls. And I was like, wait, what happened to that? And then I saw the costume. So I made that comment. It's another anime character who wields a sword. But funnily enough, this time this character is an actual sword. So that's a slight variation.
Well, and it looks like, too, that Mirtha has a counter. So that's adding to the sheer number of characters with the counter move in this game.
It's just starting to get a little ridiculous. We'll go ahead and we'll stop and sit on this for a while. Obviously, neither of you are excited about this. You haven't played the game. You're never going to play the game. But just what are your general impressions? Jason, tell me how much you hate this.
I I was thinking about this. I was like, this does not get me excited. But then I thought about it for a while and I was like, I don't know that any Smash character would get me excited to play Smash at this point. I just don't think there is one that I would be like, oh man, I got to go back and play Smash. Because to me, the most fun part of Smash was having you guys to play with, or, Josh and Kane and Felker and all those guys to play with. And I'm playing with Luke and that's fun. And I'm going to trade him up to be a good sparring partner. We ain't there yet. And it's just like, okay, this is Smash. Playing against AI is not fun. You can kill level 9s pretty easily. True. It's just not fun. And I'm not even that good at this game. Is the thing. Like, I'll play my brother-in-law and just get stomped, which is ridiculous. But yeah, anyway. I'm not excited about it, but it's by no fault of the game. I hope people out there are excited. I was hoping we'd get Sora for your sake, Karch, but we didn't. Aww. So,
Would getting Goku make you excited?
No. It really wouldn't. It really wouldn't. I say that as a joke because it makes Karch mad, but I wouldn't care.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I will say that if you do get Luke trained up as far as you can, feel free to then send him down to me, and I will take him the rest of the way to Smash.
Great, yeah,
love it.
I can only take you this far, son.
That's so great. I love it. Yeah. So yeah, I'm starting to think that Sora might not come to Smash, guys.
Oh yeah, you think? It was a sign the other day.
Sora's gonna come to Smash. God of War 2 is going to come out this year. Breath of the Wild 2 is going to come this year, and we're going to get a pro Switch.
I was getting worried. I was getting worried. Yes. Okay, good.
It's all happening, Karch.
So a couple more thoughts. On top of it being yet another thing that doesn't feel Smash, too much of this just doesn't of course you got to represent some of these kinds of games. They have a history with Nintendo, and this is what I like to harp on a lot, but when does it stop just becoming where a third of the roster is just generic weeaboo anime style stuff? And on top of that, this really just feels forced. Nintendo owns the property, which, isn't uncommon for Smash Brothers characters, obviously, but it just really feels like we want this series to be bigger. We're going to try to pull Fire Emblem. Who's Marth? I got to find out what Marth is. Oh, I love Fire Emblem, and now Fire Emblem's very successful, at least more so than it was in the West. And that's just what this felt like. It's who's Pyra? I want to play that chick. I want to play that game. I'm going to go play that, because apparently this person is an idiot that I'm talking about. and that's which kind of rubs me the wrong way. But no more than the fact that somehow, despite hating the game, I kind of want to play it again.
Wow.
So wait, you're the guy. You're the idiot.
You're the guy.
I'm the idiot.
You're the guy.
They revealed my most disgusting inner parts of me.
So the one thing that does kind of excite me about it is you remember going back to Melee where Zelda and Sheik were one character, right? They were that combo character.
Yeah.
And then I think it was in the DS Wii U iteration where they separate them, because I know in Brawl they were still one character.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And I mean, honestly, having played both Sheik and Zelda, I feel like they're still kind of like Sheik's down B, I think is almost useless. I feel like they're incomplete characters, and so I will say that it is kind of nice to see that combo character come back. That was something I liked with Sheik and in Zelda, and I was shocked when I loaded up Ultimate and found out they were two different characters. And that they haven't repeated with other characters. So I mean, this does seem like a good use of that,
right? Unfortunately, there's never a problem with the actual implementation. It's always grade A,
it's the
top notch. Yeah.
Who besides Tingle, of course, would you have wanted to have seen?
Sora. Sora from Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. I honestly, I was thinking, because it makes sense to me that we had Shulk and they're like, oh, let's add another Xenoblades character.
It does.
I was trying to think of a similar scenario, and I could have almost have seen a Tifa or even a Lightning or somebody from Final Fantasy 15 making their way into the game as well.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
But if you're gonna go to Square Enix, you might as well have gotten Sora.
Exactly. All right, moving on. The next thing of note that they had, might have been directly afterward, was Fall Guys is coming to Switch and also Xbox in the summer. And I just wanted to ask, because I might finally pick it up on this, and Juliet might get a kick out of playing it too, especially if there's some kind of we can at least join and play in the same match together on the couch. That'd be really fun. is this too little too late? Because it seems like Fall Guys has fallen out of some favor and popularity at least. Or do you guys think the Switch is going to give it a bit of a boost?
I would say, because I assume if it's coming to the Xbox, is it coming to Game Pass?
That's a good question. They had that. There was a bit of a
like that brief moment they said it's coming to
miscommunication.
Game. Yeah,
Yeah.
If it comes to Game Pass, that might be what it needs to boost, because that's that's what Microsoft said, 18 million subscribers at this point.
It's a lot. Jason, Fall Guys opinion?
I mean, it's a cool little party-looking game, but I don't think... I mean, I think I agree with what your original sentiment was during your reaction video. It took way too long to port it. This was popular, I think, early COVID, so like April of last year. And so now a year later, we're getting the console port. At this point, people are on to the next thing. They're on to Among Us. They're on to that other game that Valheim. Yeah.
Valheim,
There these games pop up and they catch lightning in a jar, and they have their moment. And so you have to capitalize on that, unless you're Fortnite and somehow...
Or Stardew Valley.
The dance moves sustain you. Yeah, or Stardew Valley. But yeah, to me, this is too little too late. It's no longer in the zeitgeist. This is cool, but it's like when boomers got on Facebook a bit.
Yeah.
That's like the vibe I get.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's whatever. And the thing is it's not even coming out like today. It's coming out summer 2021. So for all we know, this is out in July. I just I'm like, okay.
Or August. Cool. August is summer. Oh, and before we continue, when we hit your number one thing, I want to tell us this is the thing I'm most excited about. This is my number one announcement.
Cool.
I haven't gotten to mine yet, and I doubt we've gotten to yours with the Smash Pirate announcement in Fall Guys, but
negative. Yeah, you haven't.
All right, next up I had Outer Wilds coming out this summer, and that's a theme we're going to see, is that summer is going to be a very busy time for the Switch. Hopefully it's not the busiest time and there's still stuff to come later, but we'll get there. I don't have a lot to say about this other than that the critical acclaim for this game is through the roof. And it is a big, just don't skip this kind of game that people tell you, just like, you've got to play it. But you can't talk about it because A, it's very difficult to describe, because I've heard people talk about it, and it is. It's very difficult to describe. It's very difficult to understand without just watching or playing it. And another reason that it's hard to do that, or you don't want to do that, is because this game is utterly and completely surrounding the fact that it's about exploration to discovery. And so to talk about it at all is to spoil pretty much the entire experience. But I will be getting this for sure because I've been wanting to play it. I just didn't want to play it on my PC. I don't think it's available on PS4. I'll double check if it is. I might just jump in early and get it there instead. But when it comes out,
it's on Game Pass.
You think it's on Game Pass? Okay, well, maybe.
I think so. I think I've seen it on Game Pass.
But I think, Jason, I think you'll like this game.
Why do you think I'll like this game? I think this game is going to stress me out. I got 22 minutes. This is like Majora's Mask on crack,
stop
dude.
that. Oh my gosh, I hate that explanation so much. I hate it. You're supposed to die. You're supposed
I don't wanna.
You die in Hades and you love it. It's a roguelike. Think of it as a roguelike.
Not on a time frame, you know?
But it doesn't matter because you do what you
Jason has more control over his fate in Hades.
No, he doesn't. He's not very good at it.
I am good at it. I escaped
all
in
right.
30 runs. Yeah, get out of here.
Today.
I'm going to be banging this drum all 2021.
It's fine,
Jason played
dude.
Outer Wilds.
I'll mooch off you for sure, but I don't know that I would like this game. Just
you love exploration. It's one of the things that you say all the time about games. You love discovery.
Yeah, but the thing I like about it is that you can do it on your own time frame and just
ignore the time
enjoy
thing.
it.
Ignore the time thing because you go right back to where you were. You pick up where you left off. Whatever.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see when we get there.
We'll see. I mean, I've heard a lot of great things about this, and I will definitely check it out, especially if you buy it. I just don't know.
All right. Next up, we have Legend of Mana Remastered on June 24th. And I just brought this up because this had just a mini nostalgia moment for me because I remember renting this and playing. I think this was the PS1 version. I could be thinking of a different game. There's a lot of Mana games, but I rented this game and played it at my grandma's in Key West because she had a PS1. I didn't have a PS1 at that time. So we went to the local Blockbuster down in Key West, and I got it. And it was just fun to see. It was like just a quick little rush of memories and stuff. But they did touch up the background, so they look hand-drawn if they're not hand-drawn, but they look hand-drawn. But they kept the sprites, which is great because there's been this theme lately, especially with Square Enix properties, to port something to mobile or a modern console like PC or whatever, and then change the sprites specifically, but not the backgrounds, and they look ugly. And if you remember anything about the Saga Frontier game they showed later on in the Direct, that's exactly what I'm talking about. The backgrounds look original, but then the sprites look just ugly, like I drew them, and it's just terrible. And so I'm glad that they went the other direction, because the backgrounds look cute, but then the sprites stayed retro. It's got fun little stuff like turn off encounters, and that's all I have to say, unless anybody else does.
Dude,
I do feel like every year I turn around at some point and some mana game is getting remastered or remade or re-released, and I'm ashamed because I haven't played a single one of them.
They're not great. They're certainly not like, I mean, some people have a soft spot in their heart or nostalgia or whatever for them, but like they are action based, so there is that difference. They stood against the Final Fantasies and the Dragon Quests, which are slow, plodding, turn based. When this is, you might get into like a minimal arena with the enemy, but you did attack, by a button press.
Like Tales. Are you talking about like Tales of Symphonia style?
Right, but not on a 2D plane. You could move up and down and left and right. I mean, I guess 2D plane, just not a horizontal plane.
Yeah, the old top down view.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
Okay.
yeah,
I totally enjoy that.
in terms of the art style, this game looked like comfort food. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't know that I'll play it just because when I looked at it, for some reason I assumed it was turn-based. I think it was just because it looked like a Super Nintendo JRPG, and so I was like, oh yeah, it's turn-based. Hearing that it's not, I don't know that I want to play it now. But in terms of like the art style, like you said, it's very charming.
Yes. Okay, I was right. This is the game that I played on the PS1 way back in the day.
Hey, you did skip my number one,
What was it?
Famicom Detective Club.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, the Famicom Detective Series visual novel detective thing. Jason can't wait to play it. I'm gonna buy it for his birthday.
Oh God, if
He
you
can't
do
stop
that,
because I can log in as his account, and then I can use his credit card, and then I can pay him back through Venmo.
that sounds awful.
Out of curiosity, because it says Famicom, are these actually like recreations of like NES games?
Supposedly, that it's not something I knew when I watched and did my reaction video, which I did. You can go
Yeah,
check
like
it
I
out.
watched.
They're
I was
free to
like,
play
what are these? I mean, apparently they were never released over here. So, but I like watched it. And I was like, Famicom, like the Famicom. Like,
Yeah.
are we talking about something that old that's finally is getting, full on kind of semi-animated graphics and a final port? And I was like, oh my God.
I mean, presumably the entire it's like a brand new game. Like they'd only be using the bones of that, the idea, the background or the outline of it. But I will say it looked great for a visual novel. Like there was like animations and the voice acting seemed good. But as I mentioned in my video,
it really did. It's just, I mean, not something I plan on playing. But hey, Jason, have a lot of
No,
fun.
I'm not. I would play Ace. I think Card said that it looked a little generic in his reaction video, and that something like Ace Wright Attorney. I know that's Ace Attorney.
Phoenix Wright.
Phoenix. Okay, yeah, there you go. I knew it was something in there. But yeah, something like that that's got a little bit more character, maybe.
Right.
Like I would play that game. I would play that game all day. But this one, not so much.
Yeah, agreed. All right, next up we have almost my number one, but not really because it's coming out real soon. In Monster Hunter Rise, they showcased a few more monsters, non-dragony looking ones. So like, what was it? Like some sort of weird armadillo that could like stick its tongue out, and then they had a spider looking thing, which is cool. I don't know if they're new or not, but they're new to me, so that's exciting. The most exciting part though was you got to look in. So there's this new thing called rampages. They teased it in the other trailers, but you don't know what those are yet, and we still don't really know what they are. But it looks like some sort of there's just a bunch of monsters at once, and it could be like an arena style thing because they've done something similar like that in World before. But this looked more like we have to stop them from getting to something or destroying something or stop them from getting a certain distance. So very like a castle defender almost, which I
like
can
a tower defense type.
That's the word. Yes, tower defense.
That would be interesting,
right? Because it had Monster Hunter has things like ballista weapons that you can fire off, and in addition to of course just hitting them with your own weapons, but like basically just like siege artillery kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that could be really fun, especially in a multiplayer context. And I look forward to seeing more about it. And that Pro controller looked cool. And I need a Pro controller, so I might just get that one.
I like
Next
the
up-
dock as well.
Oh, sorry.
I was just saying, I like the dock. My thoughts on this just really quickly.
Yeah.
A little visually underwhelming compared to like Monster Hunter World on the PS4 Pro.
sure.
If you look at the textures and that sort of thing. And you had mentioned like, hey, I really like the furry enemies, which I agree with. And I wonder if that's maybe part of why they didn't. They used a lot of scaly enemies, and I wonder if it's maybe partially due to the power of the system. But graphics aren't everything. The combat looked fantastic, and the thing that I liked about it is that the combat looked almost a little bit not like Ninja Gaiden fast, but faster than Monster Hunter World. That looks so like laboric almost. Like you just like you're.
It'll
really,
still feel like that to you. It's not going to feel faster. If it is faster, fans and veterans will feel the difference. You won't think it's faster.
No, I mean,
Unless
just
you play-
look like that in the trailer. It's all
Right. No, I hear what you're saying.
the
and it's
combat
because
looked good.
Yeah, it did. You're also seeing like a highly
Picked
edited,
moments.
action-oriented like kind of thing, though. Although the wire bug thing, which lets you grapple around, could change everything for all I know. I haven't had a chance to really dive in yet, so we'll see. I might get you just yet.
I mean, it looked cool. I'm not going to spend $60 on it, but I was just saying it looked cool.
As far as the furry animals or furry monsters versus scaly ones, they just don't typically use furry. They love dragons. Monster Hunter loves dragons and dragon-esque kind of things. It's just like a tradition thing. So you just get a rarer number of like, you saw it in the thing. He had horns on. He looked like some sort of like apish kind of bull. He's actually a higher end monster, usually reserved for like the end game stuff. His name's like Rajang or something like that. But they were riding him into battle, and that was awesome. That was
Gotcha.
really
Yeah.
cool.
So Monster Hunter devs are the opposite of furries. Gotcha.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Next up, we have a very exciting announcement. The one I got right: Mario Golf Speed Rush, June 25th. It comes out. Gonna pick this baby up. It's got story mode. I love me a good single player campaign tournament mode in Mario Golf. That's why I love the one on the 64 and the GameCube so much. They've added this speed golf mode where basically it's zany multiplayer version where you all tee off at the same time and then you book it. You just run as fast as you can down the course, and they've got Mario Kart style power-ups that'll make you go faster or give you the power star to
presumably mess with your opponents and slow them down.
exactly. Maybe not
It
their
looks
ball, but certainly the character.
Yeah, it looks hectic and fun. Like
Yeah, I
being
can't wait.
honest.
That looked amazing. That's going to be the best like adult sleepover drinking game ever.
Oh, for sure.
That's
The
going
only
to supplant Jackbox.
Yeah. The only problem I had with it is that, aside from the Mario characters, it looked really boring. It looked like a regular golf course, where in the past they've been Mushroom Kingdom themed. Maybe not like completely, but enough. Like, I don't want it to lose its Mario charm. And like when it showed the quick little bits of the story mode, it just like going into like a regular town. You're playing as a Mii character instead of one of them, which is typical for the series. But I don't know. I hope that there's more to the courses than just, this is green, this is a desert, it's golf.
When was that one coming out?
This is coming out June 25th.
Okay, I mean pretty soon. So it's
Yeah.
not-
Yeah, not a
if
lot
they
of time
had
to
more-
just change that up, but who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see.
One other thing I
Bowser
want to
had pants
add.
on.
One other thing I want to add is that
Wario looked like a Texas oilman.
the motion controls did not excite me.
Oh, no. not at all.
I disagreed with your initial reaction at least. I like that Mario looked like he was golfing. That was
It
cool.
grew on me. And like Sean just said, I love Wario's outfit. That kind of turned my opinion. And the fact that Bowser's wearing pants is funny. I think it's weird that Yoshi didn't seem to have one. He's just like regular Yoshi.
Yoshi was Yoshi. Yeah, he just.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I like the aesthetic overall. And then lastly, story mode looked really cool. I was not aware, because the only time I ever played Mario Golf was at your house, Karch. And so like when we were playing like the co-op mode. I didn't know there was a story mode. So that's very cool to me. And the slight RPG mechanics of like oh, I'm going to make my drive a little better. I'm going to make my accuracy a little better. Like that looked cool.
Yeah. So there's always been like tournaments and cups and stuff you could do where you'd play through a set of courses and try to get the best score. There actually hasn't been a story, like a proper story mode like we saw since the Game Boy version, which is what people have just been clamoring for since they did it, and they haven't done it since then. So now they're finally bringing it back. Just kind of putting Mario Tennis to shame, though. Like that game
I was going to say
incredibly
they totally
Mario-
outdid
yeah.
the other sports spin-off because it looks like they're doing
Mario,
this right.
Mario Tennis Aces was just like so blah.
Yeah.
Makes me sad.
And so was
Most of that right
honestly
before I got on patrol.
so was
It
Mario
just let me
Party.
down.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Like
Pretty
a
much
lot of
the
those
same.
auxiliary Mario games have just been like bleh for the
for
longest
art.
time. So to see one where it looks like they put in effort is exciting. And I mean, this looks like a perfect one for splitting.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we had, I'm just going to mention really quick, Stubbs the Zombie, a rebel without a pulse. This was the most left field thing I could have seen coming because, like, why are they remaking this game or porting this game? Because it doesn't look good at all. Did anybody else play this before?
No.
Nope.
Yeah, I rented it with Robert and Kid, I think, maybe one night or two. It's goofy fun, but it's just a bizarre choice to show up on a Switch, but there it is.
March 16th, baby.
Yeah.
I want to mention
next-
one. Wait, no, sorry. I want to mention one that you're skipping because I have every game in order. Tales from the Borderlands.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Nothing specific about it other than the fact that Telltale kind of went under as a developer / publisher, and they have since kind of resurrected themselves. And it's interesting because I just wonder who's got the publishing rights to this now. I thought the whole reason that Telltale went under was because they were losing out on some of their deals on licensing. And with Borderlands recently, like Take-Two, 2K selling the Borderlands company to Take-Two. That's what it was. And I just find it all interesting, the moves that all this is making and like what does it mean and who has the publishing rights. I don't really care about the game itself because I'm not a huge Telltale fan, but I found it interesting.
Quick in moment correction. They sold them to Embracer Group was the one who bought them.
Oh,
Right?
you're right. With
Yeah,
THQ.
Take-Two is retaining the publisher rights, though. They're not getting rid of the Borderlands IP as far as something
Right.
like that's what I don't think I understood when we talked about it.
Yeah, it is weird that Gearbox got bought by the Embracer Group, but 2K has said no, we're still going to be the distributor for the Borderlands games.
Yeah.
And their parent company is Take-Two, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Which is
yeah.
yes, that is correct. Or no, Take-Two is who cares? I don't care. The point is they still have it and they're publishing it on the Switch. It's so confusing.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's why I find it interesting because it's all this like interconnected things all to say, I wonder if other Telltale games will be coming to the Switch.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we had. I don't have anything to say about this, but I just wanted to make sure that you guys didn't. We have No More Heroes 3 coming out in August.
You get to mow people's grass to let yourself into boss fights.
I don't think a No More Heroes game has ever excited me. Like I've always looked at them and been like, nah.
Same. And this probably isn't going to do anything for me. So.
Nope.
All right, moving on. Miitopia. I only bring it up because it looks so ugly, and I do have a small correction in my reaction. I kind of acted like this might be a Switch game. It is definitely not. It looks that bad because it was a 3DS game. So my 3DS vibes make sense because that's what it was. And then finally, they are selling this for $50.
Are you serious?
I am serious.
Oh my God.
Supposedly there's hours and hours of content, but I can't even believe it.
Well, there's no way that when this was sold on the 3DS that it was sold for $50 because that's not what 3DS games sold for.
Exactly.
So is this a port?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I mean, I know you're saying it looks bad, but I thought it looked pretty darn good.
That's
go
right.
away.
They had
Boom!
that great
I
pun.
beat you to the joke, baby.
I
It
totally
looked terrible.
forgot about it.
It looked terrible. It looked like a worse
I'm done.
version of
I'm out.
Animal Crossing.
Yeah, basically. As like visually, you mean, or just in general?
Both in the fact and visually, and in the fact that it's just a bunch of like it's a collection of pointless mini games essentially. But then it's also kind of plastered on this weird social.
Right.
I
I can't believe
don't-
people paid for this on the 3DS.
So you're saying you think it's going to be $50 on the Switch?
No, I don't think it is.
It is.
It's
my
on pre-order right now
gosh.
or available today. $50.
Wow.
It's ridiculous.
Hey, speaking of crappy things that we should have skipped over, Annapurna Neon White.
What like I watched that trailer for the game and I was like, I don't even know what the gameplay is happening. Like that game like made no sense to me looking at it.
Yeah, I paid no attention to it because of
Like
this...
cards were going in like these are your attacks. I was like, you're just like it's like there's no HUD except for the cards in the corner. There's like the cards are moving and acting like something's attacking, but none of it looks like anything's happening. Cards are getting torn because apparently I'm doing super attacks, and I was like, this game looks like I have no idea what's going on.
It looked like hot garbage. Not to mention the fact that it had this like edgy animal masks
Yeah,
with
I didn't
gun
like
violence, which
Why does heaven need demon slayers?
yeah, it was really weird. It reminded me of Hotline Miami, but like a bad copy because I liked Hotline Miami.
Right.
But we've seen this weird little animal mask thing before, and I don't know. Whatever.
Move on.
I'm happy to skip through that, and then Plants vs Zombies. And the only reason I bring that up is because it reminded me. It's a cartoony third-person shooter, and it reminds me so much of Splatoon. Maybe it's totally different, but anyway, it's there. It reminds me of Splatoon, and apparently we got another Splatoon announcement that we'll talk about later. But anyway.
So the one I'll give it though is that Plants vs Zombies is coming out kind of now, whereas Splatoon is next year.
Right, that's true.
Next up is my favorite announcement, and that is working title Project Triangle Strategy. Sadly,
I think you
coming in
mean
2022.
Project Triangle.
Yes, Triangle Strategy. When I was doing my reaction video, I was too close to the screen, and the font threw me off, and I started reading the word triangle incorrectly. And I started pronouncing it as triangle.
It's so
and it was a good time. It's a good time. But yes, Sean, did I hear you say this was also your most excited?
Yeah, this excited me the most.
Same.
I haven't downloaded the demo yet, but I'm gonna have to because like I think what sold me, I was like, oh man, this looks cool. Like I really enjoy it for the tactical RPGs, and then they're like, you can flank your enemies, and I was like, oh my god, flanking!
Yes.
So good. Which is
Dude,
not something I'm used to.
I'm not going to download the demo. I'm in. I'm day one. Period.
Oh, come on.
All right.
It would be nice to talk with you about something for a change. Download the demo. It's like over a year away.
I'm in. Day one. I don't
So
need
am
no
I, though.
demo.
Yeah, I liked Octopath Traveler enough to play it for 50 hours. Overall, I would actually say I was disappointed with that game. There was a lot to be desired for something that long, at least. Especially on the story front. Gameplay was really good for the most part. It does get repetitive, and it kind of feels like you actually do get locked into playing a certain way, and it's really grindy. But overall, it was a really good first step forward for this, this new kind of franchise they're going for. And this game looks like they're learning from that from the story perspective, because it's clear that you have protagonists who have like real personalities, and they're gonna have real character moments. Decisions that you make for the main characters are going to clearly affect how the game goes, even if it's only one of three ways. If you're role playing correctly, you're going to choose a different conviction one time, between utility, morality, and
Liberty.
Liberty. Thank you.
Unity, morality, and liberty.
No, it was utility.
Okay, fine.
So like utilitarian, like that ethics kind of thing. But it's a tactics game. The best part about this is it's that amazing, cool, they call it 2D HD or HD 2D or whatever, but it's a tactics game like Final Fantasy Tactics and Tactics Ogre, and it's so good. And I played the demo, and I'm gonna talk about it now. All right, so I only played the first chapter. They throw you in I think they just right there on the front. It's chapter 6. So there's, I guess, 5 chapters before it. It looks like they just took chapter 6 out and they put it in the demo, which is a bold choice. I don't know if it was the right choice. It wasn't a terrible choice, but it's really weird because there's this, what do you call it? Like a disclaimer that says, all right, yeah, this is the middle of the game. You're not going to know what's going on. And then they proceed to give you a really, really long, it's a cutscene. It's an in-game story segment. And it's like, well, of course you could have picked something that didn't have so much story in it, and then I wouldn't be so confused. Except,
And that's why I'm not doing the demo, but proceed.
okay, except it's not confusing. It couldn't be clearer what's going on. They tell you exactly what's going on, and then nothing's super hard to follow. But it is fully voice acted, which at first I didn't love the idea of, because I typically find that when you voice act something with such small sprites, it's actually kind of boring to sit through and listen to people talk that you can't actually see the faces of. And they hide some really amazing character art, like the what do you call it? Just like whenever you play an RPG, often, especially the older ones, they'll often just show the character as like drawn in a beautiful art style, like we saw in the trailer. Go ahead.
Like you're talking about, like kind of like Hades.
Exactly like Hades. But instead of showing it while they're talking, you have to press a button to see it, which is cool, except it stops the dialogue and the conversation completely. So I hope in the feedback they take, like, please just show the picture of this person talking. So A, I know exactly who's talking if I don't remember the name specifically, and B, because it's cool. But the dialogue is very good. Not one some of the delivery is a little cheesy. But for the most part it's well voiced, and the dialogue itself is good. And people are getting murdered right off the bat and dying in a pool of blood. And it's a pixely spritey game, but like it's a good sign as far as the story remaining true to the roots of the Final Fantasy Tactics and Tactics Ogre. Here, I'm misplaced. There it is.
Remember that blood too. You can hit that with a lightning spell to shock your enemies.
Maybe. We'll see. This was all in story. So once I finally got into the battle, I had a pretty decent sized party. We had to essentially escape from this castle, and we had to get past a gate. So the gate's closed off. There's enemies in front of it, and there's a little lever, and I got to get to the lever, and I got to pull open the gate to get to the drawbridge to get to a boat. And then on the bridge are more enemies, and I got to kill all of them. But meanwhile, enemies are coming from behind you. And there's this non-playable character who he's clearly way stronger than everybody else in your party. So he's taking out several at a time, kind of fending them off. He's like the last knight before this kingdom's like on its last leg. And he's at their last knight of like incredible renown. He's got this super legendary weapon, blah, 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 blah. But it's just classic good tactics gameplay. There's a grid. You take your turns based on your speed. There's no mana points. Everybody's abilities cost tech points, and you can have up to 5 of them. You get 1 point each turn, and if you do a regular attack or nothing, like you have to move and there's nothing you can do within range, you'll bank that point. And then you have abilities that cost those points, and it might cost 1 point, or it might cost 2 or 3. That's as high as I got. And so that was really fun because everybody could attack, obviously, and then your soldiers would be better at that than maybe your mages or your healers. But everybody had a decent ability on the 1 tech point. So like you never felt like you were wasting a turn if you could get in range of something. So your healers could always heal, and then you get experience when you do an action. So they were growing too. So in a lot of things, especially like Fire Emblems and stuff, your healers kind of lag behind other characters, because if you're not healing, you're not doing anything. If you're not doing anything, you're not gaining any experience points. So it was a very clever way, I think, of getting around that. Huge emphasis on height and terrain, which is also something that Final Fantasy Tactics and the older ones from like the PS1 days kind of lack. As you saw in the trailer, you can shock watered, area with lightning and then turn a single target spell into an area of effect spell, which is always fun. Archers can get up high and now all of a sudden shoot further and do more damage. The main character had a move, and basically a Dragoon style thing where he just jumps up really high and he attacks you. And again, that does more damage if you are on a higher elevation already. I had an Ice Mage who could raise up like a wall of ice that would be like a nice little barrier between you and some enemies. So now they can't reach a bunch of your people, and they have to run through your, your tanky guys. Yeah, like Sean said earlier, there's flanking. And so you can get a rogue who can attack twice in a turn, and they get behind it, and they get. It was so much fun. I cannot wait. I'm so mad this game isn't coming out this year. I want it.
That was the biggest thing, was watching that trailer and like, oh my god, this looks so cool. Like, oh, there's a demo, and then they're like coming out in 2022, and it's like, no. Like I was like, because so many things up to that point had been like, oh, coming out this summer, and I was like, yeah, this summer, and so then it's like, I have to wait a year for this game that you just psyched me up for.
Yeah, I know, it's so lame. But interesting note, everybody had like a clear job class. So, you had your soldiers, you had like a cavalier who could climb up a ladder on a horse. I thought that was hilarious. Like, and he lost none of his movement.
Cavalier of him.
It didn't cost him anything to jump up a ladder on a horse, and not just like a little ladder, like the top of that gate I was talking about into the drawbridge. It was hilarious.
Like Uruk-hai storming Helm's Deep ladder.
Exactly. And so there wasn't any obvious job system. So the games that this is clearly based off of, Final Fantasy Tactics, Tactics Ogre, a huge part of that is like I can customize my characters however I want. Might not be able to do that in this one, which would be fine. If your party's like, if your roster's big enough and you can choose from among them, then it's more like a Fire Emblem. Like, do I want to bring a bunch of axe wielders, or do I want to bring a bunch of mages, etc.? And do I want to spread them thin and kind of level up everybody, or do I want to focus on these 3 people? We'll see as things unfold. I hope there's a job system because I love job systems, but the tactics portion seems fulfilling enough that I would be okay if it wasn't there.
I wanted to mention one other thing.
Sure.
That we kind of just on the decisions and consequences portion of it. Every critical decision in the game is made by vote. And so you have to sway your allies to your side in order to make them make that decision of utility, morality, or liberty. And so it's not just as simple as you picking, but you've got to do a little bit of work to get people on your side, which I thought was really interesting.
Right. So you could have one conviction, but if you don't make the right choices or you're really bad, I don't know what the convincing, like I don't know how you make your case basically, if it's easy or if it's difficult to do, but you might not get the ending you want on like multiple levels, basically on multiple layers, which like you said, it's just really cool. And so, yeah, this game looks really great.
And
I'm going to stop talking about it because it's just going to make me sad. I did that one chapter. That's what I was going to say. I did the one chapter. There is another one. I haven't done it yet. So the demo is at least 2 chapters long. So that's kind of cool.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice and meaty. They followed this immediately with another game similar in style and heritage with Bravely Default 2. I think I'm going to skip it. I don't want to play this.
You're not going to play the updated demo? Give it another go?
No. If I play it, it'll be later this year. I am not going to play this, in the week or so after. Like, I think it comes out in like a week and a half. I'm not going to play it then.
Yeah, I was just curious because I know neither you or I were all that impressed by the demo, but they did say they had put out an updated demo. So I was debating playing the demo just to see if the game had changed enough to change my mind.
The thing is, like, even if it has changed some, it's not going to give me what I'm looking for as far as, like, I got to watch a review. I have to listen to some really in-depth conversation about this game from people who love this kind of genre and like the first one and see what they think before I dive in.
Yeah.
All right. So, cool. We're all excited about that. That's fun. That's exciting. It'll be our game of the year for 2022, I guess.
Probably.
Yeah. All right. Next up was maybe one of the weirdest announcements in Star Wars Hunters. Do you guys remember this?
No.
I do, and I was so angry at the end of it because I was like, because the game's coming out this year, like in a few months, and I was like, there was no gameplay. There was not even anything to see except for essentially like the barest of what I would call a teaser, and then a title card, and I was like, I think it's like going to be a mobile game too, so I don't have a lot of high hopes for this.
Okay, yeah, it's a free to play competitive multiplayer game, whatever that means.
And I think I saw like maybe the one thing that was interesting to me was I didn't see EA when it finished and showed the title card. I didn't see EA anywhere there. So this might be one of those. Although again, if it's a mobile game, maybe there's I don't know if EA has the Star Wars mobile game rights on lockdown.
This was so Lucasfilms is going to be the ones publishing it. I did not catch who the developer was, and it is third-person shooter set between episode 6 and 7. But like you said, Sean, there wasn't a lot to see outside of that.
There must have been a write-up or something somewhere else because none of that was conveyed on watching that.
I think it was post material, like press material after the fact. All right, so we will maybe look forward to that. Who's to say? Next up was the second weirdest announcement, Age of Calamity DLC, except it was silent.
Nothing.
They didn't say anything. They put up a slide showing the expansion pass and it like the 3 tiers that. Or the 3 stages of the expansion pass that they'll be. It was weird.
New characters are coming. No idea who. No indication of who those characters were.
I hope it's Beetle, the shopkeep guy. That's his name, right?
I'm doubling down. Tingle. Tingle's gonna be in Age of Calamity.
Tingle.
Is Tingle in Breath of the Wild?
No, he's not.
I didn't think so. So all the more, I mean, they could reach into anything. They could like use this as an excuse. It's like, all right, we've given you your very Breath of the Wild focused game, and now we're just gonna kind of pull from wherever we want. Like maybe we
the little time traveling guardian's gonna reach into alternate universes and grab Tingle and his siblings from Wind Waker.
Yeah, but this was just weird, and this is the part that definitely lends some credence to the maybe there was no big fanfare for the Zelda 35th, because like I could see maybe Skyward Sword, which is the next thing that we're going to talk about, being like announced here and now, like because they had to show something Zelda related since they didn't have any Breath of the Wild news. So yeah, let's just talk about that.
Wait, hold on.
KG?
No. I got to say a couple of other things really quick.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
So I thought the weirdest announcement was Knockout City, and I hated that trailer much.
That was so bad.
I wiped that from my memory.
Yeah, so this is Velen Studios, and so they're the makers of Mario Kart Live.
This one.
Yeah, so they are based in upstate New York, founded in 2016. So they're a fairly new studio, and it was some sort of weird dodgeball game with a very Fortnite aesthetic, and Splatoon looking maps,
and like game characters playing the game.
Right.
Playing characters that look nothing like the game characters that were like being interviewed.
Yes.
Like, being like, what am I like? And then they're playing like super generic looking people.
Very strange.
Terrible.
Very
So
strange.
bad.
Next up, sorry, Karj, I don't want to steal your thunder, but Hades is getting a physical release. I thought that was cool.
Yeah,
March
that was cool.
19th. Ninja Gaiden Master Collection. So it's got Sigma 2, and Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge. I played that Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge on the Wii U, and it was like a Soulsborne on crack. It was terrible. It was like, hey, just get your butt kicked twice as fast in this game as you can in Bloodborne.
That sounds efficient.
Comes out in June 10th. Maybe I'm sure I was missing something there. I'm sure of it. But yeah, that pretty much does. Oh, and lastly, sorry, one other thing that we were going to skip: Apex Legends coming out for the Switch.
Looking real ugly.
It looks awful. And that's the thing is, cool that it's coming, but the graphics look so dumbed down. I can't imagine this would be enjoyable. I would not play Apex Legends on the Switch unless you had no other way to play it.
Well, especially when it's free to play.
Right, exactly.
Your medium of choice.
And I mean, like that's the thing is the Fortnite art style lends itself to the Switch because it doesn't take a lot of heavy lifting to do. But a game like this, I would really caution people to play it elsewhere if possible.
And then we skipped over Samurai Warrior 5.
Yep, we did.
Which might be of the non-Nintendo games might have been the biggest announcement there.
Was it?
No, probably Monster Hunter.
Monster Hunter or working title Project Triangle Strategy.
I say Outer
like
Worlds.
as far as being like a established franchise that people might have been looking forward to.
Yeah,
because Triangle Strategy just came out of nowhere and blew my mind.
True.
So is that Samurai Warriors? Is that in the same vein as like the Dynasty Warriors?
It's the Japanese take. Instead of being about the romance of the whatever historical like Chinese war, it's the Japanese Sengoku period. Where
is it the same developers?
I believe so. Yeah, I think it's Koei Tecmo.
Okay. Well, if I'm playing a Miso game, it's probably going to be Age of Calamity, but this is neat, I guess.
I mean, I played one entry in the series. I played it on my 3DS when I first got it because there wasn't a lot of stuff to play. I played the crap out of that game. I liked it a lot. I'm just never going to go back to it because, like you said, if I got a Musou, I'm going to play Age of Calamity, and it's.
But that is one I could definitely see fans of the Warrior games being excited about that one.
For sure. I thought it was interesting because in the versions I've seen and or played, they typically try to be somewhat more realistic with the way they depict the characters, in that like Nobunaga Oda, which is one of the famous shoguns in Japan that like Japanese games always love to put front and center. He looked like an anime boy, where in other games he looks like just an actual adult male. And so it was really weird that they decided to go that way. So maybe they are. Maybe they're just kind of going in a different direction or style with it or something. All right, anything else, boys?
No, let's talk about the big one.
All right, the big one. Eiji Aonuma, I think I'm saying that somewhat correctly, shows up and immediately dashes our hopes. Like, hey, it's me. And I'm not going to say a single thing about Breath of the Wild 2, except that we should, and I put this in big quotes on my document, should be able to bring you news later this year. So it's a big yikes. Big yikes. It's still coming, but it doesn't look good, optically.
Not for
You say things
2021.
like that. No, it's still coming for 2021. So that was disappointing. And then they announced that Skyward Sword HD would be coming instead. And I can't think of a worse consolation prize. I know I've never played it. And I don't intend to. I don't care that they've figured out the controls for handhelds, which was, like, even if I was going to play it, I was never going to play it with motion controls.
Abysmal.
So that's kind of cool. Exactly.
Abysmal.
motion.
No, let me tell you something. They basically said to us, everything you hate about motion controls, we figured out how to make it just as bad on touch controls. So
No, it's not touch. It's
please,
not touch.
I'm sorry, what do you call it? Button controls. So please look
Oh,
forward.
I see.
Please look forward to the downgrade we're giving you on button controls.
I did enjoy that little caveat where they're like, now remember, but Skyward Sword is from like a style of Zelda games before Breath of the Wild.
That was
And I
so
like,
pathetic.
and it's like, I mean, it incorporated things that we saw that you later saw in Breath of the Wild, but basically that like, hey, just remember, this isn't a Breath of the Wild game. We did a big overhaul of Breath of the Wild, like managing expectations.
That's because they know so many people bought that game more than have probably ever played a Zelda game. So they know there are people who won't understand or care or be super irritated if they get this. And it's just kind of like I felt like he didn't believe it. Like, I don't feel like Nintendo believes in this game coming out in this way.
Well, just in general, I mean, Skyward Sword was, my recollection was Skyward Sword was everyone kind of went like, all right, the Zelda model has grown stale, and then it's why we got Breath of the Wild. They basically went back and they're like, look, Skyward Sword didn't do very well on, and it was on the Wii, so it was on their highest selling console at the time.
Yeah,
or still, and it didn't do well, and so I think Nintendo it forced Nintendo to reconsider, and then we got Breath of the Wild, but. Part of me, I'll probably get it, just so I can, I can just check it off on the Zelda games that I played, and from what I hear, like it is kind of interesting because it's almost the origins, because Ocarina of Time for the longest time was the first game in the timeline.
Right.
It's the game that splits the timeline, and this actually is before Ocarina of Time. This is the beginning of the Master Sword and why Ganon keeps coming back, and we're in the cycle. So like that'll be kind of cool to see as a big Zelda fan, but the whole presentation here of just basically being like, hey guys, not gonna give you what you want, here's this, and then I don't know, I know we talked about it earlier, but it doesn't leave me having good feelings about 35th anniversary of Zelda getting the same thing that Mario got.
Right. Some positives, obviously they've not fixed the controls, but they've added additional ways to play, especially for Switch Lite people out there who would have been screwed.
Why? I have to literally move my right thumb on the right stick to swing the sword the exact way I want to swing it.
You must not know enough about this game. The game is literally designed about being able to
swing your sword precisely.
Have precise directional.
I hate that.
I do too, but don't ask why they made the stick. That's the only way it would have worked outside of motion controls.
Okay, I
said, I hate this game.
I
I hate
can't
the idea of this
imagine
game
trying to
too.
play a game like that.
I put down here, I will only get this if we all split it, and only after I've seen if they've, because a huge part of this game's complaints were the motion controls, but a lot of people can get by that. What everyone else actually hates is how rigid, padded, long, boring. Like these are all adjectives people use to describe this game for various different reasons. I'm like, I want nothing to do with this. Like I missed out on it then.
It was very handholdy.
Yeah, like you know how when you discover something new, he holds it above his head and it gives you a little description. Yeah, rupee, Deku Nut, all these things. Yep. Well, in past games, it was only the first time you found it. In this game, for some reason, that little bit that says you found this before resets when you get out of the game and come back in.
Yep.
And you have to do that every time you pick something up. every time. It's ridiculous. Like so, but there's so much about this game you can't change. You can't just rip out sections of it. It's not going to work like that. I mean, I know they changed a bit about Wind Waker and the Triforce Hunt, but I don't know. And it's $60 for one game.
Well, here's the thing too. When this game launched on the Wii, it was $70, and you got the game, but you also got the Wii
An entire
Plus.
Wii Motion Plus controller, yeah.
Yeah, and like now it's $60 for this game. And then I love the controllers. The controllers are what, $60-$70, which they look
80.
awesome.
$80.
Are they 80?
Yeah.
Well, but they're not required.
They look great.
They're not required.
And they're not, but they look sweet.
They do
But,
look really
like,
good.
It's just like, oh my god, like
The optics are bad. The optics are bad.
It's really bad.
Yeah.
So, I wrote, the thing I just mentioned about one game for $60, I still think it's too much. It's too old. They're not doing enough. I can't begin to imagine what it was like to have to program in the whole new sword fighting with the stick without the motion, but it's not enough. But if they give us a different collection with 3 games for $60 like they did for Mario, then I'll call it, okay, you did the same thing over there with Mario that you're doing over here with Zelda. Whatever, that's fine. At least it's not
like I
limited
said.
time.
I want to play this just because it's the only console Zelda
Sure.
I haven't beaten, and it's one of like 2 or 3 Zeldas I haven't beaten, but not making it easy for me, Nintendo.
They aren't. Last thing was they're one more thing. We've got one more thing to show you, and it zooms in on a really like desolate looking desert scene, pans over, and under a hood, not at all well hidden, is a Splatoon girl, an Inkling, whatever they call them.
Inkling.
And it's Splatoon 3.
Hold
Some
on,
kinda
you
weird-
skipped some of that intro. That
I was about
intro
to
was
get
like
back.
20 minutes. It's like
It was too long.
Did you ever?
It's
You've
too
never
long.
seen the Rick and Morty where
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, it's the interdimensional cable episode, and it's a commercial where a guy is trying to sell fake doors, realfakedoors.com, and then like they film him in the commercial, and they cut filming for the commercial, and then he gets in his car, and then he's stuck in traffic, and then he's driving home. And then he gets home, and then he opens his garage door, and then he goes into his house, and then he goes to go into his house. But it's a real fake door, and it's all part of the commercial. That is what this was. We got to see this chick's entire day. She's in a hoodie, and then she gets dressed, and then she rides on a train, and then she goes into the city.
She walks to the train station.
Yeah, it's like-
and she rides on the train.
I mean, literally, it was
With that fish just standing there.
It was like a 4-minute thing of like, okay, they didn't say this is Splatoon yet.
And then I got a kick too and then it looks like gameplay from the game, but that was another one that at the beginning said not actual gameplay.
Right.
And so when they're fighting at the end, I was like, wait, is this not the game?
Right. And the weird way they introduce the character, and you get to pick, like the color and design, like you're designing the character, and then it almost seems like, are we getting some sort of weird third person open world?
Like, well, I was like, oh, is Splatoon 3 going to have some kind of like single player story mode campaign in addition to the multiplayer? Which maybe it does.
Well, I still don't know.
Splatoon,
Not that the trailer told me.
Splatoon 1 did have that. It did have a
Not like what we were probably thinking.
No,
as we
but
watched
it
this,
had
yeah.
more than Splatoon 2 had. But my
No,
question,
it's the other
I
way.
haven't
It's the other way
played any of
around.
the
Splatoon 2
Splatoons.
had more.
No.
I thought.
I don't think
No?
so. No.
Okay.
I haven't played any of them.
Jude
Me neither.
played both extensively.
Okay.
And yeah. So I own
Man, they look
Splatoon 1
fun, but-
for the Wii U because that got it as a gift.
They had
Well,
an ink bow. That was neat.
Well, here's
Yeah.
the thing. Here's the thing that was kind of interesting about this. This game looked identical to Splatoon 2. Splatoon 2 came out at basically in the launch window, July 2017, right? So what was it about Splatoon 3 that necessitated a sequel that we couldn't have done with just Splatoon 2 DLC? What
Well,
was
nothing.
it?
Nothing.
But nothing that they showed us.
Right.
So
Well, they didn't show us anything.
so why do we get two Splatoon games before getting any information on Metroid Prime, which was something that was announced prior to the launch of the console? And we're not getting
We don't have any information on Splatoon 3 aside from that it exists. It's still a
You mean
year out too.
Hold up. You mean Metroid Prime 4?
Okay, yeah, sorry,
Oh, no, I
Metroid
got
Prime
you.
4.
Okay,
Yeah, I
no,
apologize.
No, Karch means Splatoon 3. I misunderstood.
Right. So I guess my point is we're getting two Splatoon games before we're getting any information on a Metroid sequel, before we're getting a remastered trilogy for Metroid for the Switch, before we're getting a second Mario, before we're getting additional information on Breath of the Wild 2. Like, why are we getting another Splatoon before anything that seems core? And it makes me worry that this is
because Nintendo always takes their time with their core games. We never get core games fast, but these other games, especially when they start off not as popular as those games and they grow over time, we've talked before that they get Nintendo's B team, which is able to crank out things faster.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, that is fair. So
why is this game so far away? Why is this game not out today? That's what this COVID must have hit them really hard. Like a lot of companies seem to have recovered.
Nintendo did say that they very much struggled with adjusting to trying to work from home. And
so everybody said that.
Is that. Well, no, but my recollection is a lot of Japanese companies did not make did not adapt to it as well as other parts of the world.
But fair enough. I believe you, and it is true. But every Japanese company said that, and even like Final Fantasy 14's back on track. This and though Sony's back on, everybody seems to have recovered except maybe Nintendo. Like they do not seem like they're even kind of on track.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm disappointed. More so than when I started talking about this.
I love that.
I'm angry that we got a Splatoon 3 before I got Titanfall 3.
There you go. That's another chalk it up to the things we're angry about.
That's Apex Legends' fault. Apex Legends' fault.
No. It's EA's fault.
Yeah,
Still
everything's EA's fault.
EA put Titanfall 2, and we don't need to rehash this.
No, we do not. Oh my gosh, I can't believe Project Triangle Strat. By the way, so when Octopath Traveler came out, that was a working title, and they ended up going with it. It worked for Octopath Traveler. They better not call this Project Triangle Strategy.
Dude, they better call this Project Triangle Strategy. I will not buy it unless it's called Project Triangle Strategy.
No, it should be called Project Triangle Strategy.
Ooh.
No, they should call it Triangle Strategy.
whatever.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing.
Project Pringle
NFTP
Strategy
presents.
We should make a game. That's for sure.
Yeah, we could pull that off.
So I guess I'm just gonna be leaning on indies this year for my Nintendo gameplay. I don't know, maybe
and Mario Golf.
Well, right. Mario Golf is gonna be fun. But it's just it's not gonna scratch that itch.
It's not your mainline game.
Right. Well, Kart, you're getting Monster Hunter Rise, which is a console.
That's true.
Exclusive.
I keep forgetting that because it's because I just don't include it with all this stuff. These are I already knew about that. I'm gonna love that game. It's a Capcom game though.
No, I understand, but it's on the Switch and it's exclusive to the Switch.
True. And Outer Wilds coming in summer. That's gonna be a really fun game to play. But this, so they started off with, or they announced this and they said, we're going to talk about games coming in the first half of this year. And for the most part, that was very true, except for the 3 games that they announced that are coming in 2022.
You got to put some bait on the hook, dude.
Which you totally expect, but I expected better bait. When you do that, is this the best you got? Really?
Your Smash character was your bait. That was your bait. Hey, we got a Smash Bros. Announcement, and everyone knows it's the next character, and people are hyped.
I meant
hyped about the next character.
Bait's maybe not the right word. Okay, this all stuff coming. People always want to get hyped about fall. People want to get hyped about fall next year, and there's no getting around it, and they knew it. And otherwise, why even bother announcing some of these things? So it was the Square game, Splatoon 3. What else was 2022? Maybe those were the only 2. I guess Breath of the Wild now, but oh well.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this is an okay year to be quiet when PS5 and Series X.
I feel like it's the opposite. I feel like now's when you have to swing harder, because next year PS5 and Xbox One are going to be they're going to have ramped up. And you want to
this is your time still to kind of get some hits in before the developers have really got up to speed on the new consoles.
I mean, using this weird boxing analogy, but obviously business isn't boxing, or is it?
Well, and that's It's a good question. Does Nintendo see themselves as they've always kind of done their own thing, but this generation even more so. So, I mean, they are kind of marching to the beat of their own drum. Do they even feel any pressure from Sony and Microsoft releasing new consoles? It's hard to say. If you look at this, they obviously don't.
That wraps up
All
our
right.
Nintendo Direct.
All right. Well, you all have a fantastic week. Sean's editing this week. Let's see how he does. Hopefully he gets all the awkward pauses out. You all have a fantastic week.
Our episode.
We will try, but we are never free to play. I feel like my camera angle is off, even though I literally haven't moved my camera at all.
I feel like your face is off.
Maybe my face
So
is
I'll just
off.
say something
Got
at the